Fisher and our CEO, Jerry Kurz. Before we get into the schedule, we're just going to give some brief remarks from Jerry and Jeff. So we're going to kick it off with Jerry Kurz.
Thank you, Adam. I'm excited to be here, excited that this is our schedule release. Tracy of our league staff and our owners worked really hard, did a great job. I'm excited about this schedule being released today. Under Commissioner's leadership, it's going to be a great season.
So thank you, Jerry. Jeff, anything you want to add there?
Yes, thanks, Adam. It's an honor to follow Jerry, and as Jerry says, how excited he is. He should be. He's been working tirelessly to get us this new venture of ours to this point. It's been a great experience, culmination, as I mentioned, of a lot of hard work. We got a great staff here. We're really looking forward to releasing all this information, as the work has come to the first phase of the work has come to an end. So I'm excited about it. The upcoming season, the teams, everything has fallen into place over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and stay tuned.
Yeah, and like y'all said, it's been a big effort. Our team owners, our league staff have all been working great together. And I know there's been a lot of moving pieces here. And I know, Jeff, there's been some questions about the Nashville franchise. Did you just want to take a minute? And I know you have something to say about that, just to make sure put everybody at ease a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that went into, getting us to this point, and there's still some work that is yet to be done. There will be a team in Nashville, and we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That's just about everything I can tell you right now. But it's a great market. We love the way the division is shaped up that includes Nashville, and we just have a few things to wrap up before we are able to go out and release all the information. But stay tuned again, as I said.
Yeah, I know folks are looking forward to those Nashville-Orlando matchups, bringing back that great rivalry and getting Albany involved as well. Well, gentlemen, I know we're very busy. Jeff, I know you got a couple more interviews tonight, so thank y'all for joining us. We're going to bring on Director of Football Ops now, Jerry Kurz, and he and I are going to take you through the schedule, the thing you've been waiting for. So thank you, gentlemen. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
All right. Joining me now, Gary Compton, Director of Football Ops. Just got to wait for Gary to unmute himself, and we'll just kind of start talking. So,
I'm
Gary,
good to go, man. I'm excited. We've been waiting on this, as you know, listening to you earlier there with Jerry and Jeff, and this is kind of, I guess, puts an official stamp on everything, and kind of release this out to everyone and get everybody excited and get ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been tireless. I mean, we've been working at this for weeks, months now. There's just the groundwork that's gone into this. I know that there's a lot of excitement about this. So, Gary, what do you say we give the folks their first look here at
Absolutely.
AF1.
Let's let it go.
Yeah. So we're gonna pull this in here real quick, y'all. We're gonna pull this up, and this is gonna be your first look at the Arena Football One schedule for 2025. Obviously, we're going to put this on social and on our website, and we just kind of wanted to give you this big first look here. Obviously, we got 12 teams across the board. We got 14-week season, 12 games for each team, 2 bye weeks. Gary, just kind of talk to us a little bit about the importance of those bye weeks for teams. Why is that so important in the Arena game?
Well, I think in anything, if you're an expansion team and, maybe you get off to a slow start, you kind of regroup a little bit, kind of recommit. But also the thing that it does, if you have a bye week later on down in your schedule, maybe you're making adjustments at rosters to make a run towards, the second half of the season. But it also gives your team a chance to, not play, obviously, and be able to have that opportunity to be off, get healthy, heal yourself, for what coaches call the second half of the season. And if you kind of look at, some of this in here and everything, the one thing that pops out to me that I was taking notes on is Nashville. Nashville's first bye week doesn't come until week 9. And you're talking about a 12-game season there. And I think that, it's going to be important for those guys to stay healthy early, with all of that and kind of put themselves in a position.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that bye week, getting healthy late, we saw, teams have seen it over the years, getting banged up really hurts down the stretch. So yes, for those of y'all acting, the team color is the home game. The white is the road game. So we got a lot more excitement to go here. So Gary, let's get into it. Let's start going week by week, as much time as we have. We do got a hard stop tonight, y'all. So we're going to get through as much of this schedule as we can because folks are busy tonight. We got a bunch of partner shows going on. We got Rebound Off the Net. We got Off the Wall. We got Arena Fan. We got Fan Zone. We appreciate all of our great partner networks bringing in everything that they have to the stage. We're very excited to continue using them. We're very excited to continue working with them, and we love our community. The arena football community is second to none. I mean, Gary experienced it as a player and now as a league executive. But let's get right into it, Gary. We're kicking off the season March 14th, week 1. We got it in prime time. Albany versus Orlando. Also Billings heading out to Oregon on the 15th, as well as Nashville heading up to Wilkes-Barre. We got the Arizona Bandits heading to Washington to take on the Wolfpack. Salina going down to Corpus Christi, and Wichita heading to Southwest Kansas. So great slate of games, the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Jam-packed weekend for all of our friends and fans. Gary, what's standing out for you in week 1 here?
Well, I mean, obviously that's the big matchup right off the bat, as you said, Albany going to Orlando, 2 prominent names that have been around the league for many, many years. If you might want to say it, a little bit of a rivalry last year, and, they get to kick off the season in week 1. So that's going to be exciting. I think you look at Arizona going to Washington, we kind of look at our expansion teams. What kind of teams are they going to have, right off the bat? I think it's going to be interesting. Billings going to Oregon there, Wichita going to Southwest Kansas. So it's going to be a interesting week 1, but that Albany-Orlando game is definitely going to be one you want to watch.
I mean, I was at that game last year, and that was a spectacular game. I haven't seen arena football played in Albany is something special. And when you see the Predators and the Firebirds take on each other, that's just great. And one game that I'm really excited for Arizona and Washington. Washington's really been putting together a really strong squad for next year. It's really nice to see that Washington has taken the lessons they learned from their first season playing arena football and really started to adapt. They brought in some great talent like Otis Odom and Joseph Hess. Bringing in those key players is going to be huge for them. And then, we get a lot of the expansion teams getting first tests. I mean, Corpus Christi and Wilkes-Barre and Oregon all playing against playoff teams in week 1. And so that's got to be, that's going to be a test right off the bat for them.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, and you look at it for all of them, they all get the first game at home. So that's going to be important to get off to a good start. The fans are going to be, hopping there, looking, cheering on a brand new team in their city and all that. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch.
No, I mean, I know I'm excited for those games. I know folks are wondering for how you're going to be able to watch it. Y'all, we're putting the final touches on a couple different things. There's going to be multiple ways to watch the games this year. We're very excited for that. So, but just continuing on into week 2, we start early, we start off, and we got another battle of playoff teams with the Cats and the Firebirds taking on each other on the 21st. Billings heading down to Arizona on the 22nd. The Storm and the Regulators also on the 22nd. So a good double dip that day. And on March 23rd, Wilkes-Barre running the gamut early, got to host Orlando. And then Oregon and Washington, some of these dates we are going to see a range and a gap, y'all. And that's just, we have some contingencies with some arena dates. We're going to get those locked down as soon as possible, but these games will be happening those weeks. It's just a question of which day exactly, but we'll get those sooner rather than later. once we get things like TV and arena dates locked in, so that way we're delivering the best product for all of our fans. So Gary, in week 2, any game that really stands out to you here as being exciting or something that you really
I like the Orlando Wilkes-Barre game. Like you said, Orlando takes a gamut the first 2 weeks, there and kind of gets their introduction to that division. I think it's going to be interesting. I know they're putting a lot of good pieces there, but to top it off, you go back to the top. They're in the East, the Nashville-Albany game, and I know we'll be saying a lot about Albany throughout, with that, but that's a tough division. That is a really, really tough division. And, you like to see that again, Arizona getting Billings, world champions coming into town. They're going to be striking up their best, to want to beat them. The Kansas rivalry there with, Southwest Kansas and Wichita, is a good one. Then out on the Pacific Northwest there, you got Oregon and Washington. So that's a great 2 weeks to start the season, and just continue to build each and every week with our schedule and keep everybody fascinated with what all's got, getting ready to happen.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit. Wilkes-Barre, Matt Rowland talked about it earlier this year. He's very excited to let the fans choose the name. I know that they're preparing that as we speak. I know Matt's doing a lot of work there in Wilkes-Barre to get a first-class organization going. Very excited to see what they're going to do up there in Northeast Pennsylvania, NEPA, as they call it. They're very excited to have the team. And I know that the communities really embrace that. And I know everybody's pulling for the Pioneers name. So we'll have to see. Get out there, get your fan vote going. Make sure that you get the Wilkes-Barre Pioneers back. I think we saw some other questions. Gary, can you kind of explain how the divisional schedules work? And we have the 3 divisions. How many times are they playing each team within their division?
Yeah, this kind of set up well for us with the 12 teams. And, we split them into 3 divisions. There are 4 teams in each division. And what we were doing as we were looking at, these divisions, obviously, is the travel of proximity, with everyone. So what we'll do with our divisions is each team in the division will play each other 3 times. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, that, it's kind of like a baseball series, hockey series. A lot of them have done them that way. You get the rubber match. And, whoever kind of has a rubber match this year, may have to, go to the other place next year. But we thought that would be good. You get those 9 games in with your division. And then, we thought it was very important to, as we started looking at the other 3 games that would make up the 12 games, is what matchups can we match that would be good. And I think, again, our front office staff, and, I got to give hats off to Tracy. She's done a phenomenal job with this. And everything, putting this thing together. And I tell you what, as you pop this up, the one big one that stands out to me is Salina and Southwest Kansas. I was at the Salina game last year, the first round playoff game, and that was a great game. Now Salina here in week 3 is going to Southwest Kansas. I know, Coach Thomas out there is doing a great job at Southwest Kansas. You're taking on a legend there, Haran O'Neal coaching at Salina, but that's one of the big games that sticks out to me here in week 3.
Southwest Kansas bringing back Matt Struck and a lot of key contributors on that defense as well. They're bringing back some of the offensive receiver talent, which is really good to see. But for me, you got 2 teams that battled it out, came down to the last play in the playoffs. Like you said, you were there. That seemed like an electric atmosphere watching on television. I think that's going to be a great game. I love a good playoff rematch. The other one that stands out to me, Wilkes-Barre gets another crack at Nashville. Mm-hmm. Again, they played in week 1. They're playing now in week 3 again. Really good to see Wilkes-Barre getting that early road test, heading on the road. And I know we're waiting for coaching announcements out of both those squads, but they are coming soon, y'all. Those are in the final stages. And again, Washington, we got another great Pacific Northwest. And Corpus Christi really getting a big test here early on. South Texas gets to play host to the world champion Billings Outlaws. So they got to go all the way from the top of the country to the bottom of the country. And I think that's going to be a great matchup there. I know Corpus Christi's got a great established history, great ownership, great coaching. Very excited to see what they do their first year playing arena football. And so, Gary, just kind of talk about some of the preparations, this director of football operations, that's, people might not understand what that job entails. Just kind of what things are you doing to prepare for this season and get everybody ready?
A lot of what we're doing right now is we have weekly coaches meetings right now. We're going through, all the signings, talking about the signings and all of that, and, keeping guys up to date on the number of players that they have on their rosters. We just finished our rule book, which is going to be exciting to be able to get out and all of that. We had one of our directors of officiating on the call with the coaches today, talking the game. And I think that's great because it gives the coaches, a chance to see it from the referee side of it. And it also gives the refs to see it from the coaches side, and they will be able to talk, answer questions, and things like that. But really the overall football ops is just making all the football part of it. Jerry, Christy, Tracy, we're a small scale crew that, does a lot of it. And, like you said, from the scheduling to, uniforms to, footballs to helping out with the venues, the buildings, getting the coaches, approving contracts. There's a lot that goes on. We all wear a multitude of hats. But I tell you what, it's a great group of people, and then obviously, last but not least with you and the media people and everything like that, putting out, great stuff that we've had and everything. It's just it's a great opportunity for us here in the AF1. And I think a lot of people are going to be, really, really surprised with the type of product that we have and we're putting out there.
Yeah, and I know some folks are asking about some specifics that's in the rule book. Y'all, we got that announcement lined up. If we give it all away tonight, y'all, you're not going to come back. We got more stuff to talk about. We're going to get the head of officiating in here. Gary, who is our head of officiating this year?
It'll be Dave Chesney. Dave Chesney. Dave is, Dave goes back 35 years. I think Dave started when I first started. A great guy, just knows the game in and out, and he helped us with the rule book and everything. And we spent endless number of hours with that whole thing, going through everything, making different changes, taking things out, keeping some of the modern, having some of the old, a little bit of that. But, Dave is now, he oversees a lot of the officials in the Big Ten and things like that. And he's going to have a great group that we're going to be able to work with this year.
Now, Gary, I'm gonna let you tell us this one because folks are gonna want to know: is the Deuce back?
The Deuce will be back.
The Deuce is loose back in AF1, yes. Folks. The Deuce is loose in Arena Football 1. And speaking of Deuces, number 2, we got a great rematch here. Southwest Kansas and Salina playing in back-to-back weeks. They're gonna, these two teams played each other tough all year, and it was really great to see how they changed as squads from start to finish in the year. And just watching them bridge. I mean, I know, Gary, you're an old school kind of purist guy. So I know seeing some of that lateral spread movement in arena, is a little weird to you. But I know for me, I love it because it's the outdoor game coming indoors and into the arena. And it's great to see the 100-yard game play influence the 50-yard game. And I think you're going to see some of it vice versa. And these two teams, embodied that to the highest degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a rematch, you don't see a lot of back-to-backs like that, and we were able to get this one in. I think it's going to be good here in week 4. The one other one that stands out is Wilkes-Barre going across country to play Washington there. This is going to be their first really, really long road trip, here in week 4. So that's going to be interesting. And then obviously you get the, another matchup there with Albany and Nashville. And, every time we talk about it, it's, that Eastern Conference and Eastern Division, they just, it's like it just pops out at you with how they play each other, every week and everything. So, yeah, week 4 here, kind of only have 4 games. So we have some teams that are on a bye. But I think, definitely keep an eye on that Corpus Christi and Wichita game. They'll be able to go up there to Wichita and Kansas. We'll see what happens.
I'm super excited for this Wichita team. I know last year they had some challenges at the quarterback position and figuring things out, but watching this roster evolve with Ed Crouch under center, he really came on for them last year. He had a massive game against Washington in his 3rd game last year to close out the season for Wichita. He and Akil Greer have developed just an electric chemistry, and I really look forward to that in year 2, just seeing them really break out. And I'm excited to see who Corpus Christi brings to the table here in their first year in arena football. I mean, and like you said, Wilkes-Barre going cross country, nothing like that cross country road trip to really get into it. And I know folks are asking about this Arizona arena. as well. And, we're not one to step on a team's toes, Gary. We know that Arizona has some announcements lined up in the coming weeks. But just talk about, Gary, you played in the Arena Football League. You played Arena Football. What's it like to play in Arizona? That's kind of the, one of the meccas for Arena Football. What's the environment like down there?
It's a great place, and when we talk about, way back in the day when, Arizona 16, 17,000, with that. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Arizona, another indoor team and everything. Everybody has their own niches, and I think this group here, out in Tempe is going to be able to do some great things. And, I think they'll have a great fan base that will follow their group and all of that. And, hopefully you get behind their team to have a good year.
Yeah. And here, week 5, we're partway through the season, y'all. We might not get through the entire schedule, but we are going to release the entire schedule tonight. Gary just has other commitments. I have other commitments to get to on shows. So we're going to do a lot of the breakdown here, but we will get it out. Don't worry. The entire schedule will be dropping, and teams will be dropping their schedules here at in about 33 minutes. All teams should be publishing their schedules. So, Gary, week 5, this is the game that everybody was looking for. April 11th, Billings at Albany. We get the championship rematch that we all were hoping for. Gary, I think we're all going to try to be at this one if possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, Albany went to Billings. Okay. And, and then we know what, where we ended up playing, for the Arena Bowl last year. And this is the heavyweight fight of the year, right?
Not we, but the teams played last year.
The teams played last year. But, this is the heavyweight fight right here. This is, like you said, this is what everybody's been wanting to see. And we were trying to figure out where you place this, because everybody, was wanting this game. And, you don't want to place it too early in the season. You don't want to place it too late. So we thought this fit right here in week 5 would be good. Billings gets to go to Albany. That's going to be a ruckus crowd there. Their fans are going to be wanting some payback along, with Coach Ware and them. So yeah, that's the great headliner. And like you said, hopefully we can be there in person to watch that one.
I'm gonna have to talk to my wife, take off work. I need to be there in Albany for that one. I want to see that one because I know Coach Ware and them are going to be out for it. We got some more divisional matchups here with Oregon heading down to Arizona. That's going to be huge. We've got Orlando heading up to Wichita. We saw those two teams play last year, and that was really at the start of when Wichita was starting to emerge and get everything set. So a Wichita team that's got their experience, that's got their legs under them, and really found some chemistry is going to be exciting. You got Corpus Christi with another stiff test heading into Salina. And then we wrap it up with Washington heading to Nashville. We talked about it. It's another good slate of games. We're really excited for a lot of these. Our new teams are getting tests early. And we saw Arizona, already announced late last week, already starting to sign players, bringing in, I think it's clear to me with their first signing, Jeremiah Spicer, Arizona is going to bring the heat on defense. Jeremiah Spicer is just a physical MAC linebacker. He's going to lay the lumber all over the field. And he's just a guy who you can really build a defense around.
Yeah, it's always interesting when, I get all the transactions every day. It's always interesting, like you see the puzzle being built by these teams, and looking at it and seeing what people are thinking. Like you said, that first signing there with Jeremiah there for Arizona, that was like, oh, wow, okay. Now we're really rocking and rolling. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they fill that roster out.
If anybody wants to know what one of the most interesting group chats is, it's Adam and Gary texting first thing in the morning when I wake up and see the signings from the night before that Gary processed. There is no better conversation than that first thing in the morning when we start talking about who's going to be who we notice really jumps off the page. And so back in week 6, we got another full week. We got 6 games on the slate. I love these 6-game slates. I'm really hoping we get some I'm really hoping we get some games at similar times so I can just jump one into the other because I love just, multiple screens. Let me jump game to game, get a little bit of that feel where it's exciting. And we got a great slate here in week 6. Wichita and Corpus Christi, I think these two teams are going to play each other tough all year. Central Division rivals. Again, Corpus, was established in a previous league coming over. We're going to see how that transition goes. Wichita, last year as a team, really grew in the arena game, and excited to see them take that next step. And we got a little bit of battle of the cowboy hats between Arizona and Billings here as well on April 20th. I think that's going to be exciting. Arizona making that trip up to Metro Park. Oregon and Washington. Chuck Jones, very familiar with this Washington team, and very excited to see what he does and how he builds out this Lightning team playing in that, and how they go to Washington. Nashville at Orlando. Albany at Salina. We get a rematch of that dynamic playoff game. Gary, that was some of the most points I've ever seen scored in an arena football game, and it wasn't clear until the last 8 minutes of the game who was getting away. I mean, I think you were at that one as well, weren't you?
I was not at that one.
Oh, you were at Billings, Nashville that week.
I was at Billings, Nashville. I know Christie was at that game. Yeah, that was an exciting game there. Now Salina gets a chance to have Albany come back to their place and play. You get, like you said, the rematch of Nashville and Orlando from the playoffs last year, so right there in the middle of the season, 2 big rematches of playoff teams. Then you get Southwest Kansas going to Wilkes-Barre. Looking at that, Wilkes-Barre, like you said, has kind of had a tough slate. It seems like every team that we're talking about they're playing was in the playoffs last year. Man, you talk about a crazy schedule. But like you said, I know they're putting a great staff together up there in Wilkes-Barre. I know they'll be up for the challenge for this schedule.
I mean, and just thinking about that, Albany heading to Salina. Salina packs the pizza box like nobody else there. So I think that's going to be a hard environment for Albany to go play in. Liberty fans certainly, they proved, I remember I talked to, folks were talking about it last year that Albany, or people were questioning if Salina could score points at that high level, and Heron O'Neill and his crew came out and they put it up. They did it. They scored a ton of points, and they did it without Tracy Brooks. Tracy Brooks being back for Salina is huge. He is the motor that makes that engine, that makes that offense go. And that's exciting to see. And then Nashville and Orlando. I mean, Orlando with Andre Sale in the fold. I mean, Andre Sale has been a dominant 50-yard quarterback for a couple years now, and he brings over some receivers that he has familiarity with. I think that Orlando team, although it's got some new looks at the receiver and quarterback position, I'm excited to see that team really play.
I think Coach Burst did a great job there with personnel. So yeah, like you said, I think that's going to be an exciting team to watch. That's going to be one of the teams to keep your eye on. I think they're going to light up the scoreboard.
Oh, I mean, it's arena football. They're all going to light up the scoreboard. I mean, that's why we love the game, because defense is, I'm not going to say optional, but it's different. Commissioner Fisher might be a little, might not fully agree that defense is optional, but it sometimes is in the arena game. Week 7, we got another great slate here. We got another match for playoff teams with Albany heading down to Nashville. We got some divisional games with Orlando at Wilkes-Barre, Washington at Billings, Wichita at Salina, and Arizona at Oregon. Any games, Gary, if you get to go to a game each week, what's the game you want to be at this week?
On this one, I'm going to tell you what, I kind of like the Wichita Salina game. Like you said, it's going to be interesting to see, how Wichita puts all those pieces together, and they are signing some great people there. We, like you said, and we know what Coach O'Neill's doing down in Salina, but you start looking at this week 7, okay, we're 6 weeks in, so now we're making that second half turn. What teams are going to start separating themselves in their division, to try to get that divisional spot, because we know how crucial that is with the playoff seedings and how things are going to be. So that's definitely one to keep my eye on.
Gary, talk to us a little bit. How are the playoffs going to work this year?
So what we're going to do is, obviously, like we said, we have 3 divisions, okay? So you're going to get a divisional winner from each division, all right? And then you're going to get the next 3 best records. So we're going to bring 6 teams into the playoffs, and it's kind of great with that. Instead of saying taking 2 teams from each division, we all know, with that, is sometimes it's unfair for somebody. Somebody can be 13-3 in a division and 12-4, and that 12-4 team doesn't get in because of somebody else that won a division or however it is. So you never know. You could see 3 teams out of one division get in, something like that. So I think it's important for all these teams, especially being that divisional winner, trying to secure that first round bye, as we know, is very important. Getting that home field advantage, being a step closer, to the championship. So like I said, here in the second half of the season and all that, start seeing, start who separates themselves.
No, I mean, you just nailed it. I mean, in those, we got the 3 division winners, but the next 3 playoff seeds are next best records. So we could, in theory, although highly unlikely, could see 2, 3 playoff teams from a singular division, which means even if you're not winning your division, you still have a really good chance to make the playoffs. And I think that that's one thing that this divisional structure really does, is it keeps teams competitive throughout the entire season. That divisional crown is going to be a hotly contested race because you have so many divisional games. You're going to be in it for an extended period of time. And I think that that's really going to be great to see. And I think that that's going to be, like we talked about, that's going to be very exciting to watch these teams just as they compete, as they play, as they just grind to get to that arena championship game. So,
and I think too, to kind of piggyback on that, this is when coaches, especially maybe the expansion teams, they're really going to start to see the development of their team. Okay, where do I need to make changes? Where do I need to, go get another horse to put in the stable, to be ready for that run and all that. So, you never want to get too far down in the standings and all that. You want to make sure you're right there in the middle to be able to make that second half run.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You can find that mid-year replacement. I mean, this time of year, May, you're going to start to see guys coming out who may have been NFL draft eligible, who maybe are looking for that chance to show what they can do. We had a lot of guys go back and, we've seen arena guys go back and forth between arena in the CFL, arena in the UFL. I mean, last year, Albany thought they had their quarterback in Malik Henry, and he signed with the CFL. This year, we see Vincent DeLeo, linebacker, running back extraordinaire, already signed with the UFL. Congrats to you, Vincent. Very excited to see what you do on the 100-yard stage, but we will miss you in the 50-yard game. If you come on back, we're going to love on you, though. Love to see some Vincent DeLeo on the field, really redefining that fullback, running back position. We saw a lot of that last year, Gary. Week 8, like we talked about, some key divisional matchups, Orlando at Nashville. I'm really excited to watch Orlando and Nashville play this year. I think there's going to be some carryover because I think Orlando can really deliver a strong effort, and I'm excited to see that playoff rematch 3 times this year because if there was a way to do it, I think those 2 teams playing 3 times they'd each win 50% of the time. I don't know how that would work, but I think that's how it's going to go. And Wichita with a tough home test with Salina coming to town here in week 8, back half of the season, we're really going to see a lot of that coming through. We're going to see that's going to be a game with some key playoff implications as well. Gary, what standing out to you as you're looking at this?
Well, how about Albany and Wilkes-Barre? That's going to be kind of a good rivalry there. Albany's get another, team up in the East there that they can compete with. But I think you said it, the Nashville-Orlando game, it was great to hear what Commissioner Fisher was talking about with Nashville earlier today and all of that. And we know that they're getting everything ready. They're getting ready to sign a coach and do everything. And I think that is going to be a team to really watch. I think they're doing some great things and all of that. Corpus Christi again going cross country there to Washington, halfway through the season there. So it's starting to line up, like you said, with a lot of divisional games there to kind of make that last push.
Yep. And y'all, again, in this back, as we get into the later half of this schedule, there is some open-endedness, the first or the fourth. That's going to be narrowed down in the coming days and weeks ahead. That's just some questions around arena availability and broadcast plan as well. We have some things in the work. You will be able to watch the games. We have several things in the work, and we're excited to start to share more news. We're not going to give it all away tonight, but there's going to be a lot of news come in the coming weeks from our teams, from our league, and we're all just really excited. We're going to get through a couple more weeks here, but then I got to let Gary go because Gary's got an interview with some of our partner networks coming up. Y'all, just thank you again to Off the Wall, Rebound Off the Net, AF1 Fan Zone, Arena Fan, and the Shady Sports Network. We're very excited to be partnering to bring this awesome schedule release show tonight. And it's great. All of those shows, all of those networks except Arena Fan are going to be going live after this. They're going to have interviews with team executives, coaches, tons of people all over the place. So we're super excited to see this all come together. We're really excited by our arena football community. Gary, we talked a little bit about it. Talk to me about how, the fullback positions evolved from when you played to now. What's behind that change?
Well, I think a lot of it is you look back to the way the game used to be played, quote unquote, as we say at the Iron Man football, and playing both sides and playing both ways, to now to where there's more of a running game established. There's more of, as you've said it, the outdoor game coming indoors, not being played on both sides. So now you're platooning, you don't have those. Everybody is a specialist nowadays, if you want to call it. So I think that just allows, a little bit more of what you can do, at that position instead of, as we all know, it used to be just line up and bang, bang, bang heads with the backer, and you might get a little love every now and then, and, you flip around and do it. But it's good to see. It's good to see the involvement of coaches that are coaching now, and how can I get the game to the next level? I think that's how all good coaches are. Is how far can I expand it? Within the walls of the confines that we have in the game, and see what everybody's able to do.
Yeah, I think that's just great. The game and going through the evolution when it mirrors the outdoor game, I think that's best, because this is a league of opportunity. This is a league of opportunity for the players, for the coaches, for executives, for everybody across the board. We're all passionate about this game that we love, but and if this leads to another opportunity, we'd love that. But we really love building this game, building this and driving this. So giving players that connection, 100-yard game to 50-yard game, I think is really key. Week 9, the one I'm going to tell you, that May 9th game, Southwest Kansas heading to Albany, I think that's going to be a sneakily good game. Coach Gary Thomas is really, you talk about coaches evolving. He had never coached a 50-yard game in his life last year, and he led his team to the playoffs. And I'm really excited to see the steps he takes in year 2, because how Southwest Kansas ended the year was not how they started the year. They ended the year on fire, and they played Albany early last year. I think with some time this year for their team to gel and develop, I'm very excited to see how Southwest Kansas plays a tough Albany team at home this late in the season.
Yeah, that will be, as we get into like you said, the latter part of it, and, them going in. The other one that I'm really interested in is the Oregon at Billings. Like you said, I know Coach Jones up there is, putting together a great staff and some great talent in there, and you're going in to try to knock off the world champions. And I know that's going to become a little bit of a rivalry there from what I've been hearing a little bit between some folks. So that's going to be a good one, Then again, as we always see it, and you look at Wilkes-Barre, and then boom, it's popping up. They're going to Orlando, and being able to play out there in Orlando here in week 9, it'll be really interesting, like I said, to see what they do. And you have to admit it, that's a gauntlet schedule they're running.
They're in what might be one of the East might be just from
the toughest
straight up.
Yes.
Just from a straight 3 teams made the playoffs that are in the East in their previous league. So seeing that sort of schedule is going to be hard for a new team in Wilkes-Barre. But again, we like what that organization's doing behind the scenes. We're excited to see these announcements start to come out. And I think that when that team starts to when that team is revealed and the coaching staff and everything else starts to come out, I think that's going to really surprise some people. And Wilkes-Barre's going to have a puncher's chance in that division because they're going to be able to sign. They're signing talent, and they're getting ready to sign some talent, and they're going to have a good coaching staff, and that's really going to give them a chance in a tough division. All three of these divisions are going to be incredibly competitive because you have returning teams, you have new teams, and you just have a lot of things like that. And, again, we saw some questions in the chat about how much did the potential broadcast partner influence the schedule. That's definitely a part of our thinking. We want to be good partners to any potential broadcast partner. So we want to make sure that there's some options as we get things going. So we're very excited for this. We're very excited. We're gonna do week 10 here, and I think we're gonna have to call it after that so Gary can get to his next show and we can allow our partners to get theirs. Week 10's light. Maybe we'll get week 11 in as well. So week 10, we got a light schedule, just 3 games. So we're gonna make the best of it here in mid-May. So we got a Salina Billings game. Very excited to see those 2 teams play, 2 playoff teams. We got the Cats heading out to Oregon. That's going to be great. And we got another divisional rivalry between Wichita and Southwest Kansas.
Obviously the Salina at Billings, and 2 reasons. Ron O'Neill's from Billings, coached there way back in the day, lives there in the off season, okay, and is very, very good friends with Coach Walker. So see these 2 go at it there in Billings, and Salina being able to have a chance to go back there. Week 10, that's a pivotal part of the schedule right there. That's gonna be interesting. Then, like you said, Nashville having to go across country, okay, there to Oregon and playing them, and then you get the the Kansas rivalry there with Wichita and Southwest Kansas. Like you said, it is a light slate there on week 10, but some good matchups.
No, I mean, I think we're in the later part of the season, so the playoff implications are going to be huge. It's going to be great to see. It's going to be exciting television, and we're going to have at least 2 of those games on the same day. So you're going to get to enjoy some nice May weather and some arena football. It's the best of both worlds for that weekend. So we'll do 1 more week, and then we're going to have to get going. So week 11. All right, week 11, we got another 6-game slate. So we go from a light slate to a packed slate. Very excited here. So week 11, Wilkes-Barre, Albany. We got to come up with a good name for that one. Going up and down 87. We got to come up with a bang up name for that. I know we're working on that. I talked to Jeff Levac in Albany a little bit about coming up with a good nickname for that rivalry because you got to have a rivalry. If it's a bus trip, you got to have a rivalry name for it. Nashville Cats heading out to the West Coast, taking on the Bandits. Billings and Washington, another great matchup. Corpus Christi and Orlando, very excited to see those 2 teams go at it. You got Oregon and Wichita going at it, and you got the Storm and the Liberty playing again. Another exciting playoff matchup.
Yeah, you have some divisional games, and you have some out-of-division games here. Like you said, interesting that Corpus Christi Orlando game, should be a good one. Oregon at, Wichita, there's another one. Nashville having to go to Arizona in week 11. And then, like you said, obviously, when you're playing that close together with one another, bus trip, whatever you call it, you got to have a name for it. I remember Orlando and Tampa, it was the war on I-4. You always have something like that. So that'd be something good. I'm sure they'll be able to come up with, and even with the Kansas teams, being able to, have some sort of trophy that's given, to each one, kind of have that rivalry with that. But yeah, that'd be interesting here, week 11, the second to the last week of the season.
No, I mean, I think that's going to be huge here. That's going to be a great way to close as we head into that, into the end of that season. Again, just an exciting packed schedule. Y'all, I know you want us to show you the rest of it. Don't worry, we're going to be posting it. Teams are going to be posting it shortly, their schedules as well. So check out your favorite team. We're going to put everything up. Don't you worry. We just got to get going. Season tickets, Gary, I know that's something folks are excited for. Season tickets are handled at the team level, so pay attention to your favorite teams. Pay attention to your favorite team's social media. I know Oregon announced that season tickets are going on sale. I think a lot of our teams are announcing their ticketing sales now. So, Gary, anything else you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to touch on before we wrap this up here?
No, like you said, I think it's going to be exciting. We've been waiting for the schedule to come out to try to get all that. Everybody's want to know the teams. We got the teams. Everybody's want to know the division. You got the division. Now the schedule's out. Now, the big one is going to be everybody wants to know the TV partner, and that's all coming to all you guys. Don't worry about that. It's going to be electrifying. I think, like we said, it's already the end of November already. Fixing to be December, and before long, we'll be going to training camp, kicking off 2025, and, looking forward to a great year.
Yeah. So, folks, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be signing off here. Steven asks, what if I don't have a favorite team? Then you got some time to pick a favorite team. We're going to help you pick a favorite team here. You got time before that March 14th kickoff. We're very excited for this. It's going to be a great year. Just so you kind of know the lay of the land, Gary's going to be jumping off. You can catch him right away over on Rebound Off the Net with Josh. Very excited to hear Gary and Josh chop it up. Some great conversation there. Also at 8:30, you're going to have Commissioner Jerry Fisher chatting with Trey over at Off the Wall. I know the Shady Sports Network has a whole slew of coaches coming on to talk tonight. I couldn't even begin to guess when they were talking. And then at 8:30, and then also at 8:30, joining the AF1 Fan Zone, Miguel Morga from Washington is jumping on to talk with them over there, and Scott Burke. So, folks, thank you again for joining us. And I'm gonna put the schedule up here for the last couple minutes as we start to jump over to our next show. But just so Gary and I can get going to our next location. Folks, very excited. There's going to be a lot of great things ahead. There's going to be a lot of questions answered in the coming days and weeks. So please bear with us as we go through that. So we're very excited. Here it is, the AF1 schedule for 2025. We'll leave that up for a little bit. It's going up on social. Teams are going to be posting their games. And we're excited. Everybody have a great rest of your evening and stay tuned in.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week at Arena Bowls. Schedule, release, Simulcast Extravaganza. Oh yeah, woo! Look at the budget we got here. Oh yeah, woo! Alright, now I gotta stop it because I'm gonna get copyrighted. Hi guys, you know, it's a great day. We get to play Billings in Albany. We get to play Orlando 3 times. Actually, that's bad. We're having a good day. We are having a good day. Yes, we are. I'll switch the setup. I've got a friend coming on. You're not going to believe it. Section 116 podcast is back. Hopefully. I'm not joking, hopefully. So, we'll talk about it. Okay, I really need to stop doing this. This sucks. Folks, that introduction's going in the record books. Hey, I'm gonna clip that. I just need to link something to our good friend coming in, and hopefully we can add him. Yeah. But this is an interesting schedule, to say the least. I'll talk about it when he gets here, but it is a 12-week or 14-week, 12-game season, 2 bye weeks. Each team plays I gotta fix my head. Each team plays each team in its division 3 times, which is stupid. And so that means I would leave 3 out of conference matchups. Which for Albany, it's Salina, Southwest Kansas, 2 teams they've already played before, and Billings. So hopefully this will be not bad. Of course, you can see I'm wearing the burnt orange for the boys. For the boys. You know, I would like to thank the Arena Football 1 for allowing me, that's right, to simulcast this broadcast. It is actually amazing that they're allowing me to do that. I know mine was more late than most, so I didn't give out a reminder, and obviously I'm not the most qualified. I have no one to talk to, because why would I, you know? The only person I've done like an interview job is my high school's head coach. Jesus, why is my hat so tilted? Hold on. There we go. That is scuffed right there. So yeah, I'm very excited about this schedule. Albany, I will say, is one of the few to have dates listed for every home game. The schedule looks to be going from March to mid-June, mid-March to mid-June, which is, all right. I kind of wish it didn't. I kind of wish it started back in April, but we'll take it. I mean, there's a lot of things happening with this league, and I'm very excited. Now, regardless of what some people might say on Twitter, just enjoy the game. Thank you. He's here, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're adding the one, the only Cowboy Bobby. That's right, folks.
What's up?
Yeah, Section 116 podcast back somehow. We still got to work on something later, This is just it was like too rushed, kind of. We just like, okay, you want to do it? Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Wait, we're logged in for the schedule release. I'm ecstatic. The only little hitch is that the Wilkes-Barre game on the road happens to be the weekend of my boy's birthday, but
Oh,
so. But other than that, I really kind of like what they did. I wish it was more Saturdays, but I think that they're just trying to keep it on the weekends, and they're trying to match it up with with every arena, not just we
yeah.
can't just as selfish as I want to be to have us on every Saturday. They have to match it up with everybody. So
I mean, do you think that also could be to if they get another TV deal, like with CBS, ESPN,
it does.
or Prime, because of
I
what
was gonna
Orlando
say
said earlier?
that's what I was thinking is what they're trying to do is they want to try and do more TV, but they're also trying. I think that is where they're going to end up leaning more in the direction of it is more streaming services. Um, I know we've all loved the YouTube stuff as far as the diehard fans because it's so easy. You just log in and you can click the link and you're right on the broadcast. But I think it's a lot better as far as for the league is to have them with these big partners when you can get in with CBS if they can get ESPN. I'm a little less positive that they do something like that. But I think that we could definitely see them having bigger partners, bigger networks, being able to try and do that. And I think that's their first priority is to try and get those before they try to go for streaming because if they can put it on television, then that's going to be something where those services they're going to be putting that out on their commercials. They want people to watch, so it will be advertised the way they want it to be.
Actually, now that just reminds me of something because the NLL, the league that the Albany Firewolves are in, announced that they are having their own like streaming service. Like they're still gonna have national TV with TSN in Canada and ESPN in America, but
Yeah.
they're able to get every game on there and blacked out due to local. So like you can only watch Albany's on, let's say if it was a home game for us, it would be on ESPN Plus and My 4 Albany instead of it being on NLL Plus. But
Yeah.
I feel like the AFL could do something like that as well to maybe or AF1. We're gonna have to get used to that.
We're definitely have to get used to that.
It's not like 2010, okay, guys. But
I do like the direction the league's going in. Yeah, I'm hoping that they're not jumping in with 2 feet into some of the because they have a bunch of new teams again, and I actually did like when I was hearing that Monterey and Stockton are both holding
absolutely.
back, waiting till next year. I don't want to see these teams jump in again with 2 feet like we saw last year, and then
Yes.
you have these teams feeling like as you're getting closer to the season, oh, maybe we made a mistake, but now we got all this invested. These teams took a step back, went, hey, we're not ready to have a season start in a few months. We need to put this thing together the right way. And honestly, as far as them, as opposed to an organization like maybe Wilkes-Barre or the Oregon team, with them being brand new franchises, it puts you in a situation where maybe not the organization as a whole. They could be just as stable as any other organization, but it could actually lead them. The teams that waited a year could actually see a better product on the field because they didn't rush. Now when they're recruiting players and the players come in, they can go, wow, this team's so organized because they took that step back. I really want to play here. This is a place where I feel like I'm not gonna, things aren't gonna be shaky. So I like that about the league this year.
Yeah. So I guess before we dive deep in the schedule, because I don't know how long this will go, especially if it being like this late school night, but I guess we're going to talk about the new teams that they brought in. So they kept all the original 8 teams that stayed from the AFL at the end of the year, and they moved over to the AF1. And there was a big concern with Nashville over legal issues. I don't know if you heard about that, but
I did hear a little bit about that. I didn't hear a lot of specific. I just heard that they were having some legal issues and there was questions on whether they were going to be able to put a team together because of it.
But it does look like they're going to at least try, or they're going to get the team in there. So hopefully it can have that happen. But, it's still a risk, especially coming from originally a commissioner or Jeff Fisher backed team.
Yeah, because Jeff Fisher is so involved, I think that there is going to be a team in Nashville. It's just going to be what are they going to have to maybe change names? Or they're going to have what is the deal going to be as far as the legal side of the things? It sounds like everything else is in place for the team. They just need to be able to put it together. I don't know exactly. I'd have to look more into the story, but that was one of those news releases where you're like, wait, they're not gonna. Could they possibly not have a team there? That was shocking because they were such a big part of last year.
Oh yeah.
Even though it was new again, like they were trying to bring this team back after years. They were such a big part, especially after all of the change happened.
Yes.
We're not going to get into all of that, but the after all that change happened, you had Jeff Fisher step in as commissioner. You had all of that stuff change. They were such a huge part of that. I don't see it not going forward. It's just going to be in what incarnation are we going to see it? And again, I love the direction because we're seeing. You mentioned the new teams, so like we get a rival up here, and I think that's going to be a huge.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
That's a huge deal for a lot of like when they're bringing in these new teams. Is you're creating it, and they're creating this division structure. You're creating rivalries, which will allow for more people to get interested. When you have, and I wanted to see them play more teams. The 3-game structure, I actually, after they explained it, I kind of like it because then it creates more of a, when they're playing that third time like that, what is that last game against Wilkes-Barre going to mean?
Orlando,
so-
that one we almost had that last year too, because week 10, week 8 was originally going to be Philly, then they moved that to Orlando, or moved that for another Orlando game. And then week 10, before they canceled the week, originally was Georgia. They were going to play Orlando in Orlando. So that would have been, and since Orlando beat us in week 8, giving us our first loss, what could have happened week 10 if the bye week didn't happen?
I was going to say, would we have ended up with a home playoff game? Like that really changed the way the playoffs were structured out, with us getting a home playoff game and then being able to have that bye. Sorry. The way it played out at the end of the season, it's going to be interesting. And now we're going to get 12 games, which is amazing. I was really hoping for that.
Shades
So now-
of NAL season.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love the 12-game, 14-week structure. It allows for a lot more flexibility with the schedule because now you have 2 byes. Everybody's getting 6 home games, which, as much as like the short season makes every game more important in a way, they actually kind of made it similar by adding an extra division game and making it 3 because now all of those games, that makes you get more games and a lot of them mean more. So again, I would have loved to see them play different teams, but I think we're going to be so jazzed up every time they have to play Orlando, every time they have to play Nashville. And now we're going to and they were saying we got to come up with a nickname for it, maybe like the throughway. I don't know.
It can't be relating to the throughway because it doesn't really connect over.
Yeah.
But
it's just it's going to be cool. And I'm excited. I when they came out with the announcement for Wilkes-Barre, it was just because I've been begging for a close rivalry. I was hoping that they'd be able to convince a team like the Massachusetts Pirates to
they
to
won't. I don't think
change
so.
games, but they're never going to do that.
Especially when they just moved to a new arena that
Yep.
year. It would be hard for them to at least have 1, move to a new arena, and then 2, leave the league to be in the AF1. So I guess we got to talk about the new teams really quickly. So we have, I would say, 6 new teams announced. 4 of them will be playing next year. The Oregon Lightning are one of them. They were originally or at least have a lot of people from I believe the Oregon High Desert Storm, and it was like a kind of like, I gotta check that, but it was kind of like it was like one of the lower tier in arena football. Yep, I was correct. The Oregon High Desert Storm. They played in the American West Football Conference, which had the Idaho Horsemen of the NAL who play there now.
Yep.
There
I was going to
is
say that the one thing that, and I know some people might have a little, because these organizations are coming from a smaller league, they're coming, maybe they're smaller time in general. It's actually a good thing because you got to think about it, even after the original fold of the AFL in 2019. You look at what happened in Albany and having to bring it back. We had to start small. That's what people are. That's what people are forgetting. Yes, we already had that little bit of structure from having a team before, but you're coming out of the pandemic. You
had to change head coaches.
You have new ownership, new coaches, new everything. So when you're starting essentially from scratch, because of all of the change that ended up happening there, you had to build up from there. That's where all these teams have to go. As much as everybody wants this to all of a sudden be the AFL from 20 years ago, they can't. I really believe just trying to create the foundation with each one of these teams. These teams have a lot of these teams. There's only a couple of them that are starting fresh. A lot of these teams have footing where they are because they were started in other leagues. Even if they have new names, even if they have they're having to start with new coaches and things like that. They're not starting completely from scratch. They've already started to get their footing in, and now trying to get into the right league, which I believe this is becoming that right league.
Yeah, so I was also going to say they have members from the Black Bears last year, the Oregon Black Bears. I mean, their head coach is the head coach from Oregon. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that also helps them, but it's just they've been signing players. They've been doing well, except for their AI generated logo, which I'm not too fond of. But at this,
Yeah.
it's not the biggest concern. It's just like,
Well, maybe they'll figure something out. They couldn't. So the Lightning. So they couldn't just go with a bolt because maybe it would look too much like the Chargers. So you don't want to quite go down that road. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the biggest fan of the logo, but trying to do something different isn't wrong.
I'm trying to. Oh no, you keep going. Sorry.
I was just gonna say most of the logos that you're seeing in this league, I really like. I like the way that they've tried to create their own idea of what an identity for these teams, and there's only a couple that are older. They're just trying to what is the characterization of this area, and I even like the Wilkes-Barre logo the way I have it. Everybody seems to, I keep hearing all the positive to bring back the Pioneer name.
Oh,
So even if they kind of went in that direction with the logo, I love the letter logo that they have, and I hope they stick with that at least to a point. It's really cool to see how everything's coming together there. And again, I love it. I've been saying this for a long time that they needed to go to the division structure. I kind of hoped that they would go through they're going to go to the 6, and it's a lot of the reason is because they have only 12 teams. Then you're saying essentially the top half of the league is getting into the playoffs. But I love the 7-team structure that the NFL has in each conference.
now I will. Oh, sorry. Yeah, unless you.
No, you go ahead.
So what I was about to say is the playoff structure is going to be a little bit similar to what the MLB has. Each division leader will get a in the playoff spot. I'm guessing the top by records will get the 1, 2, 3. After that, it's any team with the next best 3 records. Which
again, I completely agree with. When I say the 7-team structure with the 3 divisions, I wholeheartedly believe baseball should go to it. I love the way football has done it, but I think the idea of having 3 divisions and having 7 teams is kind of a cool idea, because then you have your 3 division winners. The top one obviously gets the bye, and then the 2 others get a home playoff game, but then yet that 4th home playoff game goes to your wild card winner, essentially. And then you have 3 additional wild cards that play on the road against those other 3 teams, which I think is a really cool idea. I'd love to be able to bring that up to them if it would be possible, but the bottom line is that we're going to see an opportunity for these teams to not only win their division, but be able to get into the playoffs, as one of those other 3 teams. And this is a 12-game schedule, over 14 weeks. You have a lot of opportunity to be able to win games again in key spots and be able to get into the playoffs, and that's really cool to be able to witness and see how this thing is evolving.
So the other 3 teams that are playing this year, we've already talked about Wilkes-Barre a bit. It was very weird because I'm pretty sure I heard from the owner that they went to the Arena Bowl in New Jersey and were like, "Oh, this is really cool and really fun. I want to start my own team." And
so
that's kind of worrying, but knowing that something like that, I mean, arena football is a sport that when a lot of people say when you go to one of these games after not knowing what it is, you get hooked. It's kind of one of those things where even if, it's kind of weird to hear that they got into this just because, well, I guess one of the owners mainly because of the arena ball and knowing how
Yep.
arena football could be. That's still really awesome to hear because fans, it's just a big fan friendly sport that, if worked correctly, can go for a couple years.
Absolutely. So I did see some of that story, and from what I understand, he went to Pioneer games
Oh,
when they
I
had a team, and then when he heard about the Arena Bowl that it was going to be in New Jersey, and how it was going to be at a mall, he was like, I got to check this out. And when he saw what the product was, as weird as it was at being in a mall, you got those heads turned, and the fact that turned his head and got him to want to bring a team to Wilkes-Barre, I thought was a really cool twist on it. Again, like you said, it is kind of a strange situation. Hopefully that he's focused on, and I'm witnessing it with as a Giants fan, what happens when an owner is too involved in the football side rather than just trying to market his team. He's trying to get involved with what's going on the field. Let the football people do what they can, and you market the team. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of that with a lot of these teams, where they're being able to make that in our league, with being able to split those two sides up. And you obviously, with our organization with Albany, we're seeing that year in and year out. They're able to kind of, be able to make the two sides work, as cohesively as possible. And I feel like that's why a lot of the time, everybody wants to hear from Jeff all this stuff, but I think that's his job, is to kind of create that happy medium where he's working with the football people who are working day in and day out to put the roster together, to get these players prepared to be able to play together, while at the same time working with the media side of things, with Ben and with Nick, on being able to put the broad, whatever media out, to be able to get people in the building. And it's definitely a full-time job on all of their parts, just to be able to market it and get people into the building. And again, that's one of the reasons why I was a little iffy when I still am on seeing all the Friday games.
I'm gonna need to check the dates on them, only because I only saw the dates I only
Yeah.
really saw the first date, because I'll talk about it later, but that was like the one where I'm like, oh wait, I know this is weird, okay, but it's just
So it looked like so we're gonna have 6 home games. I think the first 3 or 4 are all Fridays for the home game.
oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
And I
realize that
think
was on a Friday. I thought it was on a Saturday.
yeah.
That's
So
weird. Yeah,
it's. I'm just glad we're not getting Thursday games. We're not getting the Sunday afternoons.
we're not getting the Saturday 8 p.m. games. I don't, or at least
Yeah.
we don't know yet, but
We
still.
don't know the times, but my guess is the games are going to be at 7 or 7:30, which is a lot better, especially with it being on a Friday. People are going to be able to. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, because people are going to have to get out of work, get ready, and get to the game, but they don't have to worry about the stress of having something going on the next day. We had 2 Thursday night games this past year, and you're creating a situation where people have to work the next day
Or go to
So-
school, you know?
go to school. And that's and honestly, I've been saying this for I don't know how long. The biggest market that they can have with leagues like this is to get kids in the building. And that's why I think a huge part of trying to market these teams is working with the local sports leagues, especially football, obviously, but working with these local sports leagues to try and get the kids into the building with group tickets. If you can cut down on the cost for each kid by having it have something with a big league, they're able to, then you can bring in the money that the team needs and be able to market this game to a lot of younger fans, because if you're looking for this league to last years and years and years, that's what you want. You want to get those young fans because especially we see it after every game, they have their autograph signing.
Yeah.
And those kids, especially kids under 10 years old, coming from someone that, started going to arena football games from a really young age. I was going at 2 or 3 years old and sitting in a booster seat that's why I love this game so much. That's why, it was kind of happenstance with the whole Cowboy Bobby thing, why it's such a passionate thing for me to be a part of it, because I grew up, from a young age loving this game and being able to get, especially with the new, the old logo and the name back, it's exciting to have all this here. And if you can create that with some of these younger fans and have them love this game, maybe not to my level, but
Or mine.
love this game to the point where they at least want to sit down and watch it on TV when it's on weekly, and then go to a game every now and then you're going to have a situation where you're getting 8, 9, 10,000 fans at some point, hopefully. That's the goal. When you can get it up, when we can get into that 5-digit fan area for all these teams,
Yes.
that's the goal eventually. But you have to start by creating fans, getting people in the building. And you said it, this game draws people in. I'll let you go. I've been rambling.
Yeah, we've been going on some tangents here, but it's okay. They're all important, especially when we know this game and stuff. But so let's see. So we talked about Wilkes-Barre. Originally, there were the Pioneers in the AF2. Big rival with Albany, I guess. I don't really know. I was barely alive when they last played them. So, we have Corpus Christi. Here's a fun. I am really happy that they have gotten up to here after what we've heard about them in the NAL. They were originally in the AIF in 2023. They were going to play in the NAL this year. However, scheduling issues were a big problem with them, and that's why they couldn't make the schedule work with them in. And then when we get the announcement that they're going to be in the AF2 or AF1, I was like, yes, I'm so happy. I'm hoping they get competitive because I feel like even though we don't play them this year, they're going to be a fun team that we can play in the future. And I mean, Corpus Christi also has had a lot of arena football history. There's been teams in the NAL before, one that didn't really do so hot, but there was also, I think, some AF2 teams as well. That's why I thought originally that they could have been in the AF1 this year. And, we had it. But now hearing and seeing that some of the dates on that schedule were confirmed home games for Corpus Christi. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not like the weekend dates, like confirmed on that day dates, at least right now, that's not the
Mhm.
best look for the NAL.
Yeah, so it's just what I think we're seeing with that is it's clear that the teams that have been bouncing around from league to league, watching because you've seen a lot of that over the last few years, especially with leagues like the NAL, the AIF. You're seeing we saw it 2 years ago when we were in the NAL with Columbus. They jumped and went and left the league at the last minute. You know, Jeff
Due
was
to,
supposed
due to pre-existing issues, allegedly.
yeah.
I don't think we could talk about that one here, especially from an Albany fan standpoint.
No. I'm not going to get into details, but the bottom line is that you're seeing these leagues going or these teams going from league to league because they're worried about being able to schedule games and have an opponent and be able to tell their fans we're going to be playing at this time. And I think that Corpus Christi saw the AF1 and saw what happened at the end of the year with the AFL this past year and how it's transitioning into this new league. They're seeing it as, well, this is something tangible. This is something solid that we can latch onto and be able to have our games definite rather than being worried that we're not going to be able to have an opponent show up at our arena. Because as much as everybody wants all of the games to be played, what each team is just hoping for in general is to be able to say, okay, our arena is going to have a game at this time at home, and you're going to be able to buy a ticket and have your butt in that seat and watch an arena football game at that time, because that's what's going to get people when they can trust that the team is going to be able to put a game on at the time they say. That's been the biggest issue with arena football over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Is you're seeing these situations where a team can't get on a plane to get to their road game. So now they're just trying to find an opponent for the time that they had set aside for a game. And we saw it a ton this past year. That's got to stop. Obviously, they need to put, and I think it is clearly they're releasing the schedule now, and they did a whole show over the last how many years since arena football has been back in Albany. I haven't seen that.
No.
Even the AFL in 2018 and 2019, with all the glitz and glamour that they had, the schedule wasn't really released until like a month before the season. We were, it started in what, mid to late April. They didn't release it until like March. It's nice to see them feel, and they didn't. The one thing that I really loved about the way they released it, they were honest. They didn't sit there and try to go, this is when the game is going to be, this is, and then down the road, oh, the arena had something happen. We're going to have to move the date and then maybe have to move the opponent. No, they're setting it up so that these opponents are going to play each other on that weekend in that city. But now they can kind of figure out what day is that going to happen on. And as much as it's up in the air, that like I said, that game with Wilkes-Barre, I really want to go down there and see that game.
I hope I can, because I don't think I've told you this, but there's like one of the big things about that area is that there's like 3 Waffle Houses in like Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and it's like, oh, that's there, and they're gonna have arena football. Yay!
My wife might want to go then, because so the one time we get Waffle House every year is when we go on vacation to North Carolina. So if she hears that there's a Waffle House in Wilkes-Barre, and I want to go to the arena football game, she might go, that might be worth it.
And I mean, another big thing with like just how they prepare how they release the schedule anyway, is that creators, Shady Sports Network, Off the Wall, trying to think of the other ones. Arena Fan was one of them. There's one more. I think AFL Fan Zone. This guy got it. They allowed them to simulcast like the productions, the production and the stream of this league, and having this guy be able to, at least help try to grow the game, even if hell, no one's probably watching it except for a handful of people. I probably saw like 2 people there. That's still big, allowing the league to help creators out is huge.
And the big thing about it is everybody's helping each other in this scenario. The league is allowing the creators to reach a bigger fan base, while at the same time the creators are getting everybody that follows them. So if you have a handful of fans that are following these creators that aren't, maybe they're not all in on the change that's happening on with this league, because arena football's been so shaky. The fact that they're allowing the creators to do this makes it possible for these fans to go, all right, new information. I didn't see that. That's not something that I've been following. Now I have that info. Maybe I want to look further. I can go on the website and go, oh, that's cool. They're bringing the Deuce back this year. I didn't hear anything about that yet. That's exciting news. That's what people want to hear. And when you have those people looking up that stuff, that's the other thing, is if you're following somebody and then you see a post from them, when you're scrolling on your phone, at 2 p.m, and you have a buddy there that's never seen arena football, you're like, the Deuce is back, and they're like, what the heck are you talking about, the Deuce? It's when they get 2 points in arena football. What's arena football? Conversation. You don't. You want it to be something where where people that may be casually interested are now talking about it because they're seeing it from the person that they follow. And I just think that that's a really cool way to do this. And I completely agree. Allowing, the creators to simulcast it's a huge deal.
Yeah. All right. So we have one more team that's playing this year. I'm trying to think of who it is. The team that was originally going to play in 24 pushed it back. It is your now somehow green because Bandit Ball, Arizona Bandits. They're gonna be the 4th team in Arizona, but there's Zach Hallman. He was at the 22 championship. I think because he now lives in Phoenix, or at least in that area, and he says that it's so far apart between where he is to where do they play now? Glendale for the Rattlers. Yeah, but
the Rattlers, you're saying.
Yeah, because they moved to Glendale to block off the Bandits, allegedly.
We'll
But
see.
and then if they're based out of Tempe, it'll be an easier drive for the people who live on the east side of Phoenix compared to where they could have been before when more downtown.
The bottom line is maybe there's going to be some sort of back and forth when it comes to rival leagues, because that's essentially what this is. As much as it really is 2 different games. It's it's like shrinking down regular football versus having a completely different style which is what we're going to have, what we've always had with arena football, having the nets and, the we're not going to see Ironman football because the league decided to go away from that at the end of last year. But so I doubt it's going to be something they're looking at this year. But the bottom line is because they changed the rules and you have, like the jack out of the box and penalties and stuff like that to create more of that offensive game, because they may be almost two different sports, but because you're still trying to draw a fan base and you're trying to sway people to go to either one, you're going to see a little bit of that rivalry. And I think it is a good thing that they're thinking about, all right, how are we going to get people to the building? Are they going to be able to travel there? What's going to be easiest to get people in the building? Are we going to be able? Is it, maybe we can find a way to have ticket prices be a little bit cheaper for us, and be able to try and be able to, bring the money in a different way. Maybe with merchandise or something like that. Those are the type of ideas that they're going to have. They're going to have to be innovative about this stuff. Obviously, the Rattlers have a footing there. When they were in the AFL, and it's, I couldn't stand them growing up. There's a soft spot in my heart for teams like that, and then like the Barnstormers, because they did play in that league. But the bottom line is just trying to get people in the building, and those are the ideas that you're going to have.
Yeah. So that's all the teams, right? Yeah. I don't think we're going to talk about Stockton and Monterey as much. We already said that it felt better that they're stepping out this year, but that leaves us with one more thing, I guess. Schedule time. So here we go. I brought the graphic up, full screened it. First game of the year. Orlando in Orlando. They have not played in Orlando since 2023, the last game of the Albany Empire's existence, in which Kenny Starks pretty much took down Jonathan Bain, which sucks, especially with Bain retiring now. I mean,
Yeah.
but unrelated, that year sucked. Anyways, what I find,
just try to forget that year.
everyone does at this point. But what I find funny is that this is the first game of the year, and my birthday is March 14th. So I come home from school just after school and then get excited about the Firebirds and then have my birthday the same day. It's going to be chaos for me. But whatever it is, I mean,
hopefully.
It is the rivalry. This is the game that people look forward to every year.
Absolutely. Hopefully you get a nice happy birthday present from the team when they go down into Orlando, and again, this is another team. So growing up, that's the team you always remember. We beat in the Arena Bowl, in '99. It's just that's etched into your brain, and it's one of those teams where I can't stand them, but there's that soft spot in my heart because of the history. And I actually love the idea of them putting us on the road early in the season against them. And I think with the direction the team's going right now, I think they're going to need a test early in the year, see where they're at, and then if however it turns out, you try to improve from there. And you saw as we look, they're going to have a bye early in the season, which I think is a really good thing for this team to be able to have a couple, and we'll get into Nashville in a second, but have those couple of tests, to start the season, then get into a bye. So this test week 1 against Orlando, because they're going to have a good team. Every year. This is a really good matchup with us and them, and we saw fireworks in that first game against them this past year. It is a rivalry. So
Yep.
Orlando's going to be electric. I think it's going to be a good watch on TV, and I'm excited. And hopefully Sam Casanova can light them up through the air and on the ground.
Woo. I'm so happy he's back. I feel like Medlock in the early year was good somewhat, but as soon as we knew him more by his playing style, it kind of deteriorated to the point where I did not like him.
I will say this. So watching him throughout the year, the criticism that I had for him all year was get rid of the football. 1002, 1003.
Yes.
It was just get the ball out of your hand, because when he threw the ball, when he was making concise decisions and getting rid of the football, he's a good quarterback. He's just when he was holding on to the ball too long, now you're allowing the defense to make a play on the ball at some point.
Absolutely.
Because this isn't the NFL where you have a 52-yard wide field, and if you get out of the pocket and they can't get to you, and you can extend the play, you can allow the guy to. This is a small field. If you're holding on to the ball too long, they're going to get to you. It's that simple. So he needed to get rid of the football. I will say this: the Arena Bowl really made me love him a lot more. The way he left it all on the field.
Yeah.
And I will. The rest of my life, he may, I'm gonna guess with how nasty the injury looked that he may never play again.
No, he retired before,
Yeah.
and he came back with Damon. So I think he's done, and it was also like just a brutal injury regardless.
But the way he just said, put a brace on my knee, and he went back in there and gutted it out, and really at the very end, we ended up not having a chance. But at that point in the game, when he decided to come back in the game it was still close enough that we could have possibly had a comeback.
But the only problem with that is that they didn't have anyone else suited up. It was just Medlock. They didn't have Lewandowski, who's now no longer with the team. And then Malik Henry, I don't know if he got cut or if he was somewhere, but
so they brought him back, but I don't
I know they brought him back, but I don't know if they caught him before the championship, which I would have kept him, but that's just
to keep him if I could to be able to have somebody suited up to play. But I think just looking at the way everything went, I think he wanted to be the starter. And at that point in the season, they would have had to really put the work in to get him gelled with the team, because he hadn't worked with them. So that's really difficult to be able to bring a guy in mid-season at that position. You talk about you bring him in at wide receiver, you bring in a cornerback, even running back or an offensive lineman. If you can get them to know some of the verbiage, it's not as difficult. The quarterback has to be able to read the defense, know exactly what's going on with the playbook, be able to make calls and communicate it to the rest of the offense. That's really difficult to get a guy into, even if he already knows the playbook, to be able to know exactly what's going on that season because he hasn't played with those players. It's really difficult. So that would be my guess as to what it was. I don't know exactly what the situation was with Lewandowski and why they decided to.
I think it had to be related to the 21-man thing. There's probably more important piece, even though backup quarterback, really important. There's probably more important weapons on offense and defense they could have used.
They also had a lot of guys banged up. We had we had some bad injury roles. The amazing thing is that the team was as good as it was anyway for the entirety of the season, even though they really they were completely depleted at times. We were without Markel Wade for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah. But Darian
Um,
Townsend filled that role, and he's back. I'm a-
I am so excited for the two of them. Really, we're waiting on Prince. I think
Oh, I
based on
hope.
the
I don't know.
way where
I'm trying to
talking
see.
last week, I really think that he is coming back.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
This is conspiracy theory time as I try to look for a red flashing light that I'm just seeing. I don't know where. Like you could see it flash up, and I saw it. And I'm like, where? I don't know if it's my microphone or anything, but the thing is that I could pull it up actually, but I'm pretty sure they said something similar to what Haig would have been, because Haig was Haig. They said about him that he was an older guy, and Vincent DeLeo, who's now with Arlington, the Renegades, was gonna be
was gonna
the
be that
one,
role.
and
He was
Haig
gonna
just
fill in that
wasn't
role.
fit. Now he's gone, so but
We'll see what happens there.
let me see.
The reason why I said that about Prince, it seems to me the way he's been talking, oh, and there they are. The way that Prince has been talking, if you paid any attention to his social media,
I
is
have
that
it though.
he
That's
is
probably the problem. I feel like
is
he
that
still
he
wants to play. It's just the fact that from the front office side of things and what I've been rumoring myself, well,
Mhm.
not been rumoring, like spreading, but like what I've been thinking is he doesn't look good, and that's the worrying thing. But
Yeah,
let
the thing that made me worry the most is the last couple of years when they've been getting prepared for the season, Prince has been there.
yeah, he's been one.
He's been a part of
Last year,
everything.
he was their first signing when they
Yeah,
first announced the team last year. The fact that
but at
they've
the
gone
same,
on this long, it's been
the
just,
one thing
oh,
that I keep watching so I keep seeing his posts, and what it seems to me is happening is he's taking a break
oh,
because he does want to play. He said that. Um, he posted him with his Eagles jersey, which I can't stand the Eagles, so I don't love that.
it's still
But
cool that he had it though. But anyways, keep going.
it's cool to see him doing that. The one thing, so the fact that he's spending a lot of time in Orlando, great for him. He didn't seem to love it playing there,
Oh, he hates Orlando.
but
That
at the
that was
same,
it left a bad taste in his mouth. End
yeah.
quote. I still don't know what this light is. I think
So
it's my cool, funny light show that I hold on. I have. Oh, I unplugged. Wait. Now, you know what? Keep going. I
yep.
had like,
So the bottom line is that I think that he wants to play in Albany. I think it comes down to how do they fit him with this team, and how does he want this to go down as far as the end of his career, because he clearly wants to play, but he's clearly winding down the back end of his career. So how is he wanted to go down, and what does that mean as far as what their direction goes for the next few years? Are they trying to bring in guys that want to be here for a few years, and maybe they're trying to move away from guys that are not going to be playing next year after?
yeah, but
However, the
we
other
have.
side of this that I've been seeing is I haven't heard anything from Hollis.
I'm so like that's what I'm worried about that too, because Hollis and Prince were buddies. They still probably are, obviously, but
Yep.
that's why I'm like, if Hollis isn't here, or something must have happened with him that Prince is like, what the hell, or something. But again,
Yeah, maybe.
conspiracy.
It
But
is, again, and the one little, yeah, and you're saying conspiracy, the one little conspiracy theory that I have, and it would be something that maybe the league wanted and the team was thinking, this might actually be a good thing for us to get people in the building, is so Prince and Hollis played for the
Philly.
Philadelphia Soul for a while. And then, they came up here and everything. So not too far from there
it's Wilkes-Barre.
is Wilkes-Barre. And they're now bringing a team into the fold here. Are those two guys going to be a huge part of that to draw people in to come watch games? And it creates, that's one of the things that you're clearly, they were talking about it on the broadcast tonight. They're trying to create big rivalries. That would, with the fact that it's so close here in comparison to the rest of the league, that is, a hop, skip, and jump from here. And you would put two guys that have been an integral part of our organization for the last, 4 or 5 years. And now you're going to put them, and now you're putting them down back where they played before against us in a championship game. And then they came up here and won a bunch. That's interesting. That's something that I think that the league, that those two guys would kind of really like. I think even, the Firebirds organization would be like, that could be really good. That could be really good marketing for everybody involved to get people into the building, especially. And you look at the scheduling. That's another thing. I don't know that that's a coincidence that we're playing Wilkes-Barre twice at the end of the season. Again, that's both here in Albany too. So they have the mid-season one down there, and then they have two at the end of the season here. That's interesting. That's something that we could see some, if that is the idea that they're having, to have those two guys play down there, or will coach and play down there. That if it's coming down late towards the playoffs and two teams are fighting for seeding or even a spot in the playoffs and they have to play each other twice, you could be seeing some butts and seats at MVP Arena for those two games.
All right, let's quickly, let's hear what our good friends, Mr. Damon Ware and Mr. Levac, said.
Where is Darius Prince?
Like I said, I will, as we get the other signed, they'll get their day in the sun. I'm very big on giving everybody
We've done
their
about
time.
5 minutes.
So obviously when we sign any additional players, we'll make those things known.
I mean, there's also rules. Like, you're not supposed to talk with players you haven't signed and things of that. So there's those things. I see that.
That doesn't give us a lot of breathing room there.
The one thing that he did say, though, that where is Darius? But they brought it up. Where is Darius Prince? He didn't say. Right. He didn't say. This is another situation where we might be moving in a different direction. He didn't say anything to that effect. He said everybody's going to get their due time in the sun, which this is the other thing about this. We've been talking about the marketing and everything. If Darius Prince isn't on the roster and you have people on edge all off season thinking, why isn't he signed yet? Why isn't he with the team? They're going to be waiting on bated breath on every one of these coaches' shows. When are they going to sign him? What is happening with Darius Prince? Commenting on all this, because that's the other thing. They want interactions. It's not just not just views, but it's interactions, because when you have more interactions, that creates a wider net for other people to see it. They want those people they want to get those eyeballs to get people into the building. And if that means let's wait on signing Darius Prince because we want these people waiting for it, that's another. I'm really thinking that they're really just trying to create interest in a lot of this, even if he's not signing here. The fact that said it the way he said it, it really feels like a marketing type of answer. They are trying to attract people to this team and to this league to get people watching on TV and get people into the building. And I'm excited. And you just brought up Nashville. That's our first home game, March 21st. Can't come soon enough.
We've got the Firewolves, okay? Oh, I just realized that too. Probably the Firewolves have a lot of these dates too. I don't know why I didn't think of that before.
I haven't, because it just got released. I haven't matched up the two schedules yet.
I have my home schedule, so that, so they start after March. They play March 15th on a Saturday, the Firewolves, so makes sense. Yep. They play the 22nd too.
Oh, they're playing the following night.
Oh,
is that
my vocal cords are going out, folks.
Is that at home?
The home game. Yep, back-to-back home game.
No.
Oh boy.
You and I we're gonna need to. We're gonna be some ice cubes in our mouths.
Now that just reminds me, I'm gonna have to scroll over to see. There's one more home game afterwards. They get it too. The Week 5 game against Billings. The Firewolves have that Saturday.
Oh my God! And that's gonna be so. And that.
No! This is even worse.
Not having a voice for the Firewolves.
No! This is even worse. The 15th is against Georgia, which is pretty good. The 22nd, after Nashville, we're playing Buffalo.
Oh, no.
And then
both of these weekends.
No, Nashville was the first. Or no, in the first week with Orlando, we go in the arena against Georgia. The game against Nashville, we play the next day. We play Buffalo. The game against Billings, we play Billings on the Friday. The next day, we play San Diego. The scheduling gods.
Insane.
I have to check.
We're playing Nashville, which again, that is a rivalry. It's not to the level of Orlando, and I think it's not going to be. Eventually, I think the Wilkes-Barre rivalry is going to surpass, if nothing else, Nashville. But it might be our biggest rivalry in the league in a couple of years.
That's just insane. The fact that the Firewolves, since they had all these games early, that all these games are being pushed to Friday, and then
that's why they're all on Fridays, because the Firewolves are playing the next day.
I now have to check to see if any of these other games line up. Okay, so
so
this is gonna be fun. Anyways,
it's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a really fun year.
All right. What I also find funny is that they start off, even though it's not home technically bye. We start off last year, if we count everything that happened. Hold on, I think my dad's calling me, but I'll say this. We started off against Orlando week 1. We played Nashville week 2, and then the bye week happened. We're having that same thing, folks, because you know what's week 3? The bye week. The first of 2. All right.
And I like that idea. I do think that the teams had some say in where their buys were. And while Ant's gone, I'm just gonna go on this. The fact that that you get 2 buys, having an early buy after 2 test games against Nashville and Orlando, not in that order, is a huge, especially when you're playing Nashville again the week after the bye. It allows for those adjustments. It allows to reset the batteries. Guys are going to they're going to come in after the first 2 weeks of what is going to be a long season, especially after the last couple of years. A lot of these guys didn't play more than 8-9 games. Now you're playing 12. That 3 games is a lot when it's football, when it's a game like football, and you're playing a game as physical as it is. Having 2 byes, and one of them being this early in the season, it allows these players to get their bodies into football shape. They take some hits early in the season, and then you get that bye week 3. You can make adjustments, see what worked, what didn't those first 2 weeks, and also rest those guys up, get them healed up, and get them ready for the stretch of the season. Because if I'm not mistaken, the next bye was what,
Week
week
10? Yeah.
So that's like the perfect. If you're Damon Ware, that's exactly what you want. You want that early season bye that allows you to make adjustments and get these guys after, getting your first, full contact hits of the year, get them, recharged, healed up. Now their bodies are ready. They've been playing a couple of games. Now they can get back into the swing of things. And then you have you have a stretch of what would be 5 games, and then another stretch of 4, right? Or
I don't know.
a stretch of 6
We've
games
got
and
the
a stretch of
schedule
4,
coming
sorry.
up anyway. This week's gonna. No, sorry. Keep going.
The bottom line is that you're getting those stretches. You don't have to have a situation where you're playing, in a 12-game schedule. You're having to play 8, 9, 10 weeks in a row. You're breaking it up into smaller chunks, and then if you're able to have that record, which we've been lucky enough as fans, we've been lucky enough to have a team as good as they've been that has ended up with the higher seeds.
Yeah.
You're able to get they should be able to get that. Hopefully they'll get that bye in the first round of the playoffs. Now you get an additional bye before you have to play the last hopefully 2 games of the year. And that's such a huge thing, and I think that's something that you'll definitely hear Coach Ware talk about on the coach's show later this week.
Is there one?
It sounded like they were, based on the way they ended the show last week, that they were going to have one. I don't know that they announced anything, just because with the schedule coming out and all of that, they wanted to make that the story, get people to tune into the league stuff, because again, this is something where I think they're trying to create more of an NFL-like structure to this. And one of the things that you always hear about the NFL is protect the shield, which means everything goes to the league. Everything is for the NFL. And I think that that's the way that these teams should operate. Everything is for the betterment of the league, because then if you're focused on that, in addition to trying to put the best football product out there and try to win games, you're making it so that you're creating these fan bases to love these teams the way fans do in the NFL. You're not, and you're trying to create it so you're also trying to create it so that fans from other fan bases still want to watch. So that's the one thing about the NFL that's so great, is you get fans, because of the way it's structured, fans watching these primetime games, even if you're not a diehard like myself or others that watch Red Zone like I do,
Oh.
or get the NFL Sunday ticket, even if you're not one of those fans, you still a lot of these fans still watch the primetime games. So they sit down and they're able to watch, or the 4 o'clock games even that aren't technically primetime, but you had the Chiefs and the Bills on this week. That was a great game. That's what this league wants to create. Not necessarily, we have, we want to watch every game, but they want to create a scenario where, we go see Albany play Billings, and then they're playing Southwest Kansas. So let's say those 2 games are really good games, and you loved watching those 2 teams play each other, play us, and then they play each other afterwards. Let's say I don't know, I don't remember the exact scheduling with the way those 2 teams play each other, but I know that they do, and that'd be a situation if both of those teams played great against us, and you liked watching the way they played, and then they're going to play each other. Maybe that gets people to tune in to watch that game. That's the kind of thing that they're trying to create. They want to get more eyeballs on all these games. They want a situation where people love this sport so much when it comes down to the title game, even if you're a fan of, let's say it's, Wichita doesn't even make the playoffs, but let's just say Salina, because it's their division rival, goes to the title game, and just for our benefit, they're playing Albany. Maybe those Wichita fans tune in and watch that game just because they love the game so much, and maybe a little bit of disdain for Salina as well. But the point is that they want to create that must-watch feel to all of their games.
Yeah. So I know it's getting late, but we'll see how long we can go on tangents for. So, instead of, having a different team, let's just play Nashville again. That's fun.
I was going to say, they're playing division teams 3 times, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah. Especially later on, too. I think Orlando is back-to-back.
Are they back?
It is.
It is.
Back-to-back? Well, we'll go over it. But again,
them at home and on the road. Is that what it?
Yep.
Is that the way it worked
I
out?
kind of. Then again, we did play them again at home twice, so balance it out. I just feel like the games in Albany have that different environment to them because of the crowds.
So, and we'll get on to the next game in a minute, but the bottom line is like I said about the bye, it creates that ability to make those adjustments. And then the fact that they're playing the same opponent, and I like that they're playing them at home and then on the road, because let's say you're playing them at home week 2, you're able to eke out a win because maybe the team isn't playing the way you want to play, and then
you can work on it during the bye week and then this.
And then the Cats don't have their bye week that week. And if you look at their schedule's funny there too.
I'm gonna have to check that. Yeah.
They play Wilkes-Barre week 1. They play, and I noticed that right away. They play Wilkes-Barre week 1. They play us week 2. They play Wilkes-Barre week 3, and then us week 4.
Oh, that's a rough one, folks.
So they play 4 division games, and they against 2 teams in the first 4 weeks.
So
they can't stumble out of the gate. The Cats don't have an option there. They cannot stumble out of the gates, because if they are to have any sort of rough start, they might put themselves in a position where they might not have a chance at the playoffs. They are going to need, I think, at a minimum, to go 2-2 early. With that said, in that 4th game, just again to try and focus on us, playing against them back to back with the bye in the middle, allows us to make those adjustments, see what those adjustments do. That's the other thing. So you're playing the same team. So when you make those adjustments, you're actually getting to see how it affects the game, because you're playing the exact same opponent. And once you see that can affect, especially going into who they're going to be playing the next game. That's a huge preparation factor for this team going into what is, in my opinion, the biggest home game, at least, of the season against the
I want
with
to
the
talk,
rematch of the championship.
I want to talk about this one. I felt like there's a lot of stuff that happened between Billings and Albany, especially week 9, which being a huge, crucial part of the year where that could have decided if we were number 1 or if we were number 2. It didn't really matter, but, this is the thing. Week 9 was filled with controversy to the point where it led to one of the worst coaches show performances I've seen out of any of these guys.
Yeah.
And then we get to the championship where we had more, I don't know if I should be saying this. We had more ref issues, including everybody holds allegedly. This is the first game Billings plays us at home. Last time, the first time we played them was in Billings. The second time we played them, even if we had the more fans, it was in the mall.
And it's 2.5, 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, as much as could have said it was more of a home game for us,
it really wasn't.
The environment was not the same. You're not, especially for the players.
Yeah.
When you're talking about you have to make those adjustments. The locker room is different. The field, they were playing on the Nashville field.
They did, yeah. Forgot about that.
And you had the way the nets were structured. They were turned in. If I don't know how many people realize that. They were.
I forget if they were. Actually, I think they were. It's just that I think I got confused with thinking that, these are some different nets because they were smaller. No, those are ours. Those are our nets.
Were ours.
Yeah.
They were our nets that they structured a little.
And they retightened them. Unbelievably.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Great work, guys. But I think this is the first time Billings will play Albany. In Albany. They're going to have to feel a crowd of people who want unfinished business for what happened in week 9 and what happened in the Arena Bowl.
And I would say this. The one thing that they don't get, I don't think Billings will ever get, even if we have 2,000 people, which I think we're going to have way more than that.
Loud.
It gets deafening in that arena when you have that many fans yelling. Even that low amount of fans, it gets so loud in there. And we played Orlando that week 1 last year. If you ask those Orlando players, did the crowd affect you? It did. That game was won. The defense shut them down in the second half of that game. But a lot of it was them being rattled by how loud it was in that building. And there was at least 2 or 3 sets of downs that they screwed up on 3rd and 4th down because of the sound. Somebody ran a wrong route, the quarterback center too early, something like that. We saw a bunch of that because of the communication, the inability to be able to vocalize everything that they needed to. They're trying to change the play, or just make adjustments before the play, and they can't. And that was such a huge factor in that game, and I think it's going to be such a huge factor in the game against Billings. And you brought up they're gonna have the Firewolves there the next night. I'm okay, even though, and I know you were saying it's San Diego. I'm
Yep.
okay with not having a voice for that game. I am more than okay to be almost completely silent as far as vocally for that Firewolves game because we're playing Billings the night before.
And I mean, I'm going to say this. I said this before the schedule came out and after the Arena Bowl. If Billings wins, I don't care who's at quarterback and I don't care how many flags or penalties we get. Billings would be the better team. And I know this happened before. If Albany wants to win, they have to beat Billings at their own slow-paced game and pull out
Yes.
firing, because that's what cost them both games earlier. Even with was it Cedric Walker and Cedric Bonner, whatever.
Yep.
Two arena football goats, I would say Cedric more, but you know,
Yeah.
both of them have played the game. They have the experience in it. They can win with both having an arena football mindset and an indoor football mindset. Oh boy. Yeah. But Albany needs to beat out of that indoor mindset in order to win.
So that's been one of the things that's made our team so great over the last few years, has been the ability to be kind of that chameleon, to be able to play both styles. I think, as much as, again, I now have so much admiration for Jake Medlock, the way he like I said, the way he was at the end of that Arena Bowl. Having Sam Castronova back in this offense, regardless of who he's throwing to, having Damon Ware, structuring that offense for Sam Castronova is it's gonna make such a difference.
It is
on
going.
this offense.
And plus the
And-
fact that they're building, maybe, if D'Elia was still here and if they had certain other pieces, this team might rival the 99 team in star talent. They have Castronova, they have Isaiah Scott, Darian Townsend, Markel Wade. Who else was there? Trayvon's back. There's a lot of
Yeah.
other guys that I can't think of, but this team would have been big.
And Trayvon Shorts, people don't realize, because everybody's so, mesmerized by, Darius Prince and the throwing the ball and everything. How many times it's happened where Trayvon Shorts, and it's comes out of play calling as well, but his ability to get out on the edge on the running game on offense, he has had at least 3 or 4 touchdowns
Ooh.
in Albany where he has caught a toss or gotten an outside handoff, beaten a guy to the edge and gone right up the sideline for a touchdown. There's, I believe one of them was the playoff game against Salina, funny enough, as you have them on the screen. And the other that sticks out in my brain was the championship game against Carolina in the NAL. In that blowout. Because we were running the ball because we were so far ahead, and he hit the edge so hard, and I think he had a stiff arm, and then he was untouched the rest of the play. Nobody made solid contact on him on that play, and I remember that clearly because if you remember, I was down on the floor.
Oh yeah, yeah, you were.
And I was right on the corner or the wall, and I watched him go right up the board from my vantage point.
Ooh.
It was such a cool angle to be able to see that, and I think people forget that about this offense and what Coach Ware tries to structure this. He's he's a very updated coach as far as the way the game is played nowadays, but he's old-fashioned in his thinking. He wants to be dominant on defense and be able to run the ball down the other team's throat. There we go. That was awesome. So I didn't end up getting one of those, but my surrogate grandmother, who was at that championship game, brought one home.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was pretty cool.
I find it funny that both of the game balls I have are the bad kicking ones, because you know what else I have? Oh, beautiful.
That's pretty.
Beautiful. Look at this. Lee Hutton's on this one somewhere. There he is. Look at this.
Yeah.
The man himself. I think this one feels better, but Anyways, we gotta talk about these games.
We're getting off on tangents. We gotta try.
We've been all night. It's been
yes
2 hours.
Salina, this is the rematch. They brought it up on the broadcast. It's the rematch of the playoff game. High flying, just tons of offense in that game.
Yeah.
You saw, and we were a second half team all year. Last year,
Sadly.
That first game, I'll never forget, because that was the second time I had a chance at Wings for a Year.
Oh,
Thank
yay!
you guys. Thank you to the Firewolves. Maybe we'll get a chance at some more this year.
I don't know if they'll bring you back for one more year. Did they still? I know we're still going on tangents. Did they give you the footage still or no?
I haven't gotten it yet. No.
God. They still.
Yeah, I know.
But
anyways, the point is that being a second half team, that was how that playoff game went. That first game, I got off on another tangent with the Wings, but that first game, I'll never forget how bad they were in that first half against Orlando. And
was it 28-point comeback?
Yeah, and then they came back and they won in overtime on the game-winning kick. That was one of the greatest games. And then we had the other one with West Texas. But we had two of the greatest finishes really three. As much as it frustrated, the Billings one frustrates me because we lost it. You had three of the greatest finishes in AFL and arena football period history last year alone, and we were involved in all of them.
Yeah.
The overtime game against Orlando at the beginning of the year, the 11 points in 11 seconds for us against West Texas, and then the Billings, our loss to Billings.
No.
12 points.
The other game against West Texas.
That was a great game as well.
Yeah, but that one we also lost the comeback and then still won pretty much in the same exact fashion we did against Orlando. Fumble deep in our territory, then we kick the field goal to win it. Like, okay, man.
Yep.
Thank you, Yogi.
It was a different feel though because of the
like the circumstances.
The way that
the
circumstances of the whole game.
Mm.
Point is that this was one of those games where they had to come out in the second half and really be that team. I'm hoping that we don't have the same issues. The fact that they've changed the roster up a bit and have brought back some of the top end talent, I think they might be able to fix that issue. Then we get Nashville again.
Yay! I don't like
the third time we finish our series against them before we even get halfway through the season.
All right, who cares? Here comes the Pennsylvania team, which we're all very excited about.
And that's the one I was talking about. So it's either going to be based on what they were saying on the broadcast and what they were posting it was either going to be May 1st, which is the Thursday, or May 4th, which is Sunday. It's either going to be a weeknight, or it's going to be Sunday, which also happens to be my twin's birthday. It's a little frustrating on my end. because this is the game. This is the one road game that I have a chance to and that I want to go to. We'll see how everything plays out. I'm already going to be stretching myself thin with the fact that we're going to have the Firebirds and Firewolves playing on back-to-back days at least twice.
I mean, this if I do go to this game, I'm going to be really excited because the only game I've been to for arena football outside of Albany has been the Arena Bowl. If I go to this game, this will be the first time I've been to an away, I guess, hostile environment. But, you know, it would be really cool to go to one of these.
It would be. I would be ecstatic if I could get a chance to go to this game. Just like you said, I haven't. As far as arena football goes, I haven't been to an away game. I've been to road games for the Yankees. I was at a road game for the Giants. That was actually a really good environment. We went and saw them play in Indianapolis. They're great out there, those fans. And basketball, I got to see the Knicks play down in Orlando a while back.
I got to see the Yankees play the Orioles when Donaldson hit his first home run as a Yankee.
That's cool.
I mean, we're at tangent again, but I know how it ended. But still, when he first got there, that was pretty cool.
And I forgot about this one. The other one is I went to Cleveland to see the Knicks play the Cavs and Columbus to see the Rangers hockey
nice.
Play the Blue Jackets. That was one trip. Got to see them on both the same week. And the cool thing about those environments were the fans weren't. It wasn't like going to a road game in Boston, where you're definitely going to take some abuse from fans. But going there, they were playfully, taunting. We lost both games. Both the Rangers and the Knicks. But both were really good games, actually. So there is no regret. But it was also they were playfully. There was some banter there, and it was a cool environment. So that's what I'm hoping to get from Wilkes-Barre. Although in the coming years we could see some more hostile stuff, and then we get Southwest Kansas now.
Hey, welcome back, guys. It's been almost a year since you guys last played us, but hopefully we can get the same result from you guys. Anyways. Next game. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Bye week. All right, that makes our schedule going through easier.
And then there's our second bye. I just wanted to add. So they were talking about it on the broadcast. They brought up, this looks like it could be a really good game. Blah 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 blah. I was like, remember last year?
I mean, I think they're building a better team, and since they've had the 1 year to already, set themselves, especially and after their playoff game where they almost won. Don't remember.
Yep.
Remember, were you at the watch party for it? I know I was there, but
I wasn't there for the watch party for that game.
Yeah.
That's
Salina Southwest Kansas playoff. I don't think you were there.
I did.
No, I don't.
No, I think I did.
I
showed up late.
No, that would have been the Billings one, right?
Been the Billings one.
Billings one, you showed up a little bit late.
That's right. It was the Billing. It was the other semifinal game. That's right. It was.
I wasn't at the other semifinal game because I was too far away. Because I'm not going to Waterville on a school night or on a day where I had school. Anyways, but those are fun, and that game was electric. I saw that game, and when I tell you that even the players, I think the players were recording like the ending too. You could see there was a shot of like News 10 ABC who was at that game, and you could see me jumping up and down in excitement for what could have been in my burnt orange. But we have that And then we have hell.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So yeah, these
you are
these
now
last
witnessing
4 weeks.
back-to-back Orlando. You have seen
I-
hell.
So one thing, and I don't know, I'd have to look at the whole schedule to see what they did there. If there was any possibility of being able to kind of rotate games so that they weren't playing, any of these teams back to back, that would have been great. But
Also
to
a Friday
me-
game for some reason. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at January. My bad. That's a Saturday.
Okay, so I was gonna say we either had 2 or 3 Saturday games, and
All because
So
of
to
the
have-
Firewolves. Thanks, guys. You're really rocking here.
yep.
But I feel like
So-
Friday wouldn't be as bad. It's just that people are still working and they won't really have the time to go home.
So it's gonna hit the attendance a little bit. I don't think it's gonna hit it as bad as what we saw last year because we saw it on Thursday nights and on Sunday afternoons. We only had 2 Saturday night games the whole year,
Yeah.
and I don't think we had or we
Saturday. Well, and they weren't even 7 p.m. At least
No.
the first one.
So the way I look at it is these are going to be Friday night games, probably at 7 or 7:30. It's not going to hit the attendance the same way that those Thursday night and Sundays did. I think so. Let's say we would have had, 'cause I believe the first game last year was it 6,000?
I don't know.
It was it wasn't it was as big, if I remember correctly, they said it was as big in attendance as they had. In fact, I think it was bigger. That first game against Orlando was a larger attendance than they had in the NAL championship game, which was their biggest crowd up until then. So I look at that and I go, all right, so now we're playing on Fridays. So maybe we don't reach the height that we would have. So maybe we're going to get a little bit, because I think we are probably going to get higher attendance overall this year than we have in the previous few years. But maybe instead of getting that 6,000 number on Friday night, we end up with closer to 5. That'll be what it hits. Whereas if it was on a Thursday, instead of the 6,000 number, we're probably dwindling down closer to 3.
Mm.
Because then it's only really the diehards that are showing up to these games.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So I appreciate that they put in the effort to have Fridays and Saturdays rather than mixing in Thursdays and Sundays. That's a huge deal for the scheduling part of this. And then obviously, like you said, we're playing back to back against Orlando, and then we're finishing out against Wilkes-Barre. And like I said, we'll see how everything plays out, but there is a possibility that we see Darius Prince in Pennsylvania again. And that could play into a whole rivalry thing, and that could play into how good that team is. That guy is a game changer. As much as I want to say that I think that this team is still going to be built to be one of, if not the best team in the league, even without Prince, because you have Casanova, you have Markel Wade, which you got to remember, those two guys won an NAL championship together after
In
leaving Auburn.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mark.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
I
right.
don't know if he was hurt then, because he's always been hurt, but
He's hurt a lot now. Bottom line is that you have a situation where I think this team is still going to be built to be one of, if not the best team in the league. but Prince elevates them he elevates any team that he's on to that next level because he's that level of playmaker,
and he's that intelligent of the game too. Like, remember all the catches he had where it hit off like the top of the wall, and he realized, oh, that's still in play, and then got it,
and then he's making the catch. He had a couple of plays where you notice at the end of games, in those comebacks that we're talking about, plays at the end of games where, the clock is a factor, and he makes a catch in the middle of the field. And more inexperienced receivers, guys that aren't thinking as much, would either try to run to the boards to stop the clock or would try to get as many yards as possible. And then he would realize he's got a couple of guys in his face. It's going to take too much time, and he gets down at that moment so that they can either stop the clock with a timeout, with spike, or with a spike, or be able to run the next play as fast as possible. And those are the type of things that you don't see as much from guys that are less experienced or just aren't as studious of the game as he is. He's also if you watch the way he moves, and he was banged up a lot. He was over his course of his career, and last year especially, you're seeing him get banged up, not injured, but hurt.
But it's like difference. It's like I read War on the Floor, or at least something, the book with the fire. I think it wouldn't have been that. No, it was an interview with Arena Fan. I'm getting my facts right here, and he said that at least towards the end of his career, when Indiana didn't want him as an offensive specialist, they moved him to like wide receiver DB, and he said that like one of the first things that he realized that he was about to be done with the game was that every time he hit the boards, it would still hurt afterwards. It wouldn't be like it wouldn't be like, oh, all right, fine. He would feel it.
He would feel it more. And the other side of that, as far as Darius goes, the reason why he didn't get injured in a lot of those scenarios, and he was just banged up or hurt, as you'd put it, he was, if you watched him take hits, or the way he would put himself to the ground when he knew he was, he was going to be wrapped up and brought to the ground, he prevents some of those injuries. He prevents some of those extra hits that you take. That makes a huge difference, because one of the things that we talked about it a little earlier that made it a huge difference in our season last year was losing guys like Markel Wade, for an extended period of time to injury. That was a big deal. We got a guy like that can stay on the field because he keeps himself in such good shape, and he's able to avoid some of those big hits. That's a big difference maker. And whether he's with us or he's with another team, that's going to be a factor. That's going to make a difference for that team.
Yeah, we got lucky in the fact that year's wide receiving core was so stacked with Prince, Townsend, Wade, Barnett. Oh my God, I forgot about him. I hope he plays. Tangent again, but I hope. I don't think he's signed anywhere yet, but I hope
he's not coming back to Albany.
I know he's not coming back to Albany, but I'm thinking wherever he goes, and then
sounded to me like he wanted to go south. So I could
Corpus
see him
Christi.
Going, I was thinking
or San Antonio
when Corpus Christi signed on to the league, because it's Barnett sounded like he wanted to play arena football.
So no San Antonio.
So
he played there 2 years ago, wasn't he? Barnett.
He did play in San Antonio, but again, that was arena football. They're indoor now.
No, I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, I'm dumb. Yeah, you're right.
So San Antonio. The one thing about that, so you have San Antonio, and this is another tangent, but The one thing
Yay.
about those teams, the teams that I could see jumping leagues out of the IFL would be the teams like San Antonio, like Jacksonville.
Jacksonville won't. The beef
only-
with Orlando is strong between them.
Yes, but I think that could also create a situation where they want to be in the same league because they want to beat them.
And Jacksonville
It
would.
depends on how we'll see how everything plays out with them in that league. But if, let's say, the fan base is more in tune to arena football, that's the only reason I say that. Like, as much as, and that's why I was trying to say like, we're never going to see the Barnstormers or the Rattlers jump ship and come to arena football again. They're having too much success in the IFL. The teams that would be the teams that had some success with arena football, and maybe the new game is losing their fan base. I don't know how that is going. I'm just speculating. With that said, I think Barnett is going to play arena football based on the way he was talking. And it sounded like he wanted to go south. So one of the places that I was thinking he could possibly go is Orlando. Corpus Christi, when they signed on with the league, and I know that would hurt if he played for Orlando. But when Corpus Christi signed on to the league, that was something that stood out to me immediately as a place that he could go.
Yeah.
A lot of these players, so, we're seeing the players that were with the teams that are, were here last year and they're coming back. There's players that are coming back to those teams. Obviously, Lockett decided to play again.
So happy.
We have Shorts. That was exciting to hear. Castronova decided to come and play.
Thank God.
Come and play for us. We have Wade. We have
Marcus
Townsend.
Smith.
Yeah, so we brought all these guys back. There's a lot of other teams that are bringing a lot of guys back. But then there's guys like Barnett and others that are kind of sitting back and they're waiting. Yeah, they're all.
Well,
Daquan. He's in the IFL now, isn't he?
I don't know where he signed. I've tried looking it up.
Because they said it last week. He signed on with a team to kind of be that number one somewhere.
I
can't remember.
Well, I don't think they said where it was. It's just like I tried looking it up and I couldn't find it. But not having him, especially with like the past that his dad played, even though briefly his dad played in Albany, and then he went on to play
for both the Giants and the Patriots. So for area.
Yeah, and I mean, tangent again, but I really want to get a David Patton Patriots jersey because I'm a Pats fan. I know you're a Giants fan.
I was gonna say yes,
but I feel like
one thing. So I'm somebody that the only two teams that I don't want are the Eagles and the Cowboys. I want a jersey from each of the other 30 NFL teams.
I felt like that would have been cool.
But that is the jersey that I want for the Patriots, is the David Patton jersey, because of the heritage with the Albany Firebirds. And what people forget, and I every time the David Patton conversation comes up, I bring up, he caught Tom Brady's first ever Super Bowl touchdown pass.
Oh.
And the only one in his first Super Bowl.
Ooh.
So that's a big deal. You talk about that, like Tom Brady. Now, people are tired of him right now, and the way they were tired of Brady for, the last 15 years. They're getting tired of Patrick Mahomes. He may overtake Brady as the GOAT because he's already on that trajectory. Although this year he hasn't been that guy, but beside the point. Brady is considered the GOAT right now. The fact that David Patton had that moment and got 3 rings with that team, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
that's a huge deal. And the fact that he got to be, a part of this area playing for, an arena football team here before doing all that, it's just a cool little note that we can have for our arena football in this area and something we can talk about over and over again. It's just, and I know we lost, Daquan's going and he's moving on in his career. He's still young
Yeah.
and he wants an opportunity. The thing about being here in Albany the last couple of years,
They've had such a stacked receiving core that there's no way that they can keep him as a
exactly,
starter.
he's not getting the playing time that he needs in order to get some film out there, get some, get attracted. The place that he needs to get to, and I wholeheartedly believe this, is the UFL. He needs to try and get into that spot. I don't think it's going to happen this year based on, the way things are going. But if he can play in the arena game for another year and play as one of the top receivers on a team, maybe he can turn some heads because he's got talent. We saw it again, I don't like remembering that season, but in 2023, when everybody left because of he who shall not be named, he was the number 1 target for those couple
He
of
was.
games. And he was phenomenal. He was the reason why they were at all competitive in those games. So the fact that when you talk about him, that's a good thing. As much as we would love to have him back here, it's a good thing to see him moving up in his career because he is that talented, and I think he has a chance to get up onto a UFL team, and then if he can, I think he still has some developing to do, but if he can develop his talent and develop his skill set, he has the right skill set to be somewhat of like a slot receiver or something like that at the NFL level. It's just about elevating his skills up to a higher level. And he's young enough to do it at this point. And again, we got off on a tangent, but that's
nature at this point.
coming out of this. I was going to say it is. But it's a good thing coming out of, what this league, because that's one of the things that these leagues are supposed to be. They're supposed to be somewhat developmental for the higher level, which is the NFL. It's a lot of the players that played originally in the AFL were either guys trying to get into the NFL or guys that already did play and either were getting older and weren't as good or were just they would rather star at a lower level than sit the bench at the higher level. So, guys like our friend Eddie, that was, it's still amazing to have met him and everything because that's my childhood.
I will say probably the greatest moment in that 23 season, other than the fact that it ended, was the fact that as I pull it up, actually, why not? I mean, it's right there. I keep grabbing all the stuff from the arena football corner, but hold on. A reminder that right before he pretty much disappeared from like Albany side of things. I don't know how. Take this out real quick.
The
Right
signature.
I had him sign the sign. And I mean, that was probably one of my favorite arena football moments from that year. You know, just
Yeah.
having him sign that is just amazing, especially someone who I still like, you know. I
Yeah,
feel like
so-
regardless of the fact of what happened, it wasn't like too bad with him. So I don't know.
He definitely left because of what was happening. So I don't know that anybody can hold it against him. I don't know that this area is ready for him to come back and
They might be. I don't know.
you know even
Wait,
be an honorary cat. I think we might need to wait another year. We'll see. But he's definitely beloved to that point where because he's still the guy that stuck with this team for as long as he did and was the best player and possibly the best player in the history of the league. And not only that, he was the guy after all of that time to bring a title to Albany.
yes.
So like that
He was the
that
man.
counts for a lot. And I do think when the time comes, they need to raise another banner in the arena with his number on it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they still need to bring back all the other banners that our good friend from previous ownership group, I don't know, with his friend with the same name almost, who cares? Anyways, they need to bring back those banners if they can get new ones. And then I would say they have to bring back the retirement of Eddie's number.
I
There's-
agree, and
there-
we'll see
If they
we'll see
already
how-
retired it in 2018, you know, maybe they can keep it going, especially with he is, again, greatest. I think he's the greatest player in arena football history.
yeah.
I think there's no one
So
better than him.
the only guy that you could somewhat make the argument for is the guy that we're still waiting on bated breath to see if he resigns.
If I had to pick, again, more tangents, because I do want to get one more thing before, because it's already 10:30 and it's late, but,
Yep.
you know, if I had to say there was a guy who I would put in if I were to retire, it would probably be Pulowski, because there's no better quarterback in that four-year stretch than him, I think.
Yeah,
I
I
know
agree with you.
I know there's Cedric and I know there's Kurt Warner. I feel like
Yeah.
he was just the man to lead that team with Eddie, with Greg Hopkins, with all those other names to that title. But it is just, you
I
know,
agree. I was just saying that the only other guy right now, and they could retire 9 and 17 for those two. The only other guy that I could see you putting on the pedestal of one of the greatest of all time in the game, because I don't know that any other players that I've watched in the arena game have ever they have the effect of a Lawrence Taylor, a Jerry Rice, a Randy Moss, these greats of all time in the NFL, where you have to game plan for that player. Darius Prince and Eddie Brown are the only two players that I can really think of outside of the quarterback position in the arena game where you had a game plan to stop. You have to game plan to stop that guy specifically.
yes.
Not just the entire, not just the offense as a whole. You have to game plan to defend those guys specifically before you can even think about the rest of the offense. And
Yeah.
that's just a huge difference maker. And I love Malachi Jones. He was absolutely phenomenal when
I
he was
miss
here.
him. Yeah. Great player.
He was phenomenal. he didn't as so he was probably big playmaker, guy that
Fan favorite.
favorite. Absolutely, he did everything right on and off the field. He was more of a big playmaker and just then I think he made more long down catches and plays where he would catch a short pass and then run for a touchdown than you see Prince do. But Prince makes the easy look easy, and then he makes the difficult look easy. That's the difference. He's making spectacular catches with his hands. Then he's making contested catches. He's making the one-handed catch on the wall, and then he's making a catch where it's it's kind of a 50-50 ball, and the defender's going for it. Then he's making the play where he's running a hook, a hook route over the middle, and then breaking a tackle and turning it from a 10-yard gain into. He could turn it into a touchdown, but maybe he gets 20 yards and now sets them up to have a play where they can throw, a little quick out to Markel Wade to get the touchdown. Like it's those things where they have to game plan for him because he's going to be able to beat the guy in front of him no matter what. And that's different. Like I said, Malachi Jones, as great as he was at those big plays and as much of a game breaker as he was, it was for a short stretch of time, and it didn't seem to come to the level of, well, we have to game plan for this guy. We have to game plan. This is the first thing that we have to worry about before we even focus on the quarterback. We have to focus on this guy because we're going to need to do some sort of different coverage to be able to stop him.
Yeah.
So, and it's more difficult for me to break down because it's not as fresh in my brain.
Yeah.
But it was similar with Eddie, with the way he played the game back in the 90s and early 2000s. It was a lot of he can make a play on a short pass. He can make a play on a long pass and beat you deep. You think about the Arena Bowl, that touchdown in the back of the end zone, having that awareness to be able to know where the end line was to make that catch was huge because he wasn't tightly covered, but the field was. He had to find the window to be able to make that catch because Pulaski had to fit it in between all the defenders before it got to him. So it's just plays like that you have to remember from some of these guys. And I know I'm rambling. We're going on all sorts of tangents. You had one more thing you wanted to get into.
So I guess maybe we can try to figure out another day. We can talk about, the Firewolves more fully, but what do you expect for this game against Saskatchewan? Because it's the first game since the Firewolves lost to the Bandits in the NLL Finals. Yeah. This is a team we beat in overtime last year. It's going to be close. It's the home opener game. How do you think the arena is going to be after the finals?
Well,
do you think it'll be around the same or better compared to what we had before?
I think it's going to be it's tough to say that it's going to be to the level of the playoffs last year because it's a regular season game and it's the first one this year. I do think it's going to be a lot more energetic in the building than it has been in previous years. like I said, it's tough to say that it's going to reach the level that it did in the playoffs. But I think you're going to have a more full building because of, you had a team in the finals last year. And you're going to have more energy in the building because this. And right now, hang on one second, because that's why I only used one of these. There we go. It disconnected my AirPod. That's why, like I said, I only used one of them. There we go. Sound better?
Yeah.
Because I knew it was gonna die. Bottom line is that it's going to be a more electric atmosphere because of all of that. So, maybe we only end up with 3/4 of the crowd that we did in the finals. But a lot of that is going to create more energy. It's going to be a lot louder. People are going to be more excited because this isn't a team coming off two losing seasons. This is a team that was just in the championship round.
When no
5 months
one
ago.
thought they were going to be there. I mean, how do you go
Yeah.
from 3 wins to being undefeated for like, how long was it? Like 8, 6, 7, 8 games, and then
Yeah.
then make the championship? This is a young team. I was rewatching the semifinal game a little bit because the NLL with their new subscription thing or new streaming thing.
Yeah.
And I heard the commentators say that Ethan Walker was one of the, I think it would have been Walker on offense or whatever, was the oldest guy on offense or whatever. It was either offense or defense. Ethan Walker at the time of that game was 26 years old.
Yeah.
That's how
It's
young this team is.
And they're making moves to, if you've been paying even a little bit of attention to this team, they're making moves to allow them to keep a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
They moved off of a couple of them, and then they brought in a couple other younger guys that are lower salaried, and were able to sign a couple of the guys. They brought Dougie back. Was it a 2-year deal?
3-year deal.
3-year deal. That's right.
Big deal.
I knew it was a multi-year deal. It's so great to see them bringing back guys for multiple years, and being able to build a team that is this young and that is going to want to stay together because they had a chance at a championship last year. They want another chance at that. So when you have and now they have experience in the playoffs, that's a huge deal. That somebody that hasn't played a sport or doesn't follow sports that closely doesn't realize how much that experience and just being in that environment changes how these guys view it in the future. They got it that young, and now you're able to keep this team together. It's going to be – I'm so excited to see where this team goes.
I'm so ready for 2 weeks from now.
Oh, this is
it's
what's
been
great.
so long.
And this is what's so great about this, because it did roll into it, but it was because everything ended up so spread out with both leagues.
Yeah.
It felt like we didn't get a ton of arena time over the course of, that time period. Normally it feels like you're in the arena every week from,
November, December to August, pretty much.
Well, I'm not even saying that. So like once the NLL season gets going, so like late January, and then you roll right into the arena season, the arena football season, and it feels like you're in the arena every week. right through to July, into July or August. Last year didn't feel like it because of the way that the AFL went, but also the way the scheduling went in general for the NLL, and then the way it was in relation to the AFL. This year, we're gonna have weekends where we're there back-to-back nights,
And big games too.
yeah.
Like
So,
like a divisional rival in Nashville to the Buffalo Bandits, defending champions, who we lost to. And then what was it? Hold on, that was week 2. And then 3 weeks later, we have Billings, biggest
on
game of the
Friday.
year, who we lost to in the championship. We play the team that we beat in the semifinals the day after. It's unbelievable.
That's you can't plan out that scheduling. There's no way that was planned by these two leagues. That's amazing. I are going to be dead on those Sundays.
I'm so ready. I do want to say one thing, and then after this we're done. It's just another weird tangent, but there was a trade between us and Rochester where we got a second round pick for 2 years from now or whatever, a couple years from now, for Anthony Joaquim. I would wish we kept him. Well, the good news is that they cut him. They cut Anthony Joaquim from the Rochester Knights.
Cut him?
Yep.
What the heck happened?
And you know why? Well, I don't know why, but you know what's funny is that they traded for him just for a draft pick. So that means, folks, great trade on our part. Congratulations, everyone. Successful. Yeah. That's why I'm like, look at this. Real trade. And then of course, I'm not. Wait, I'm looking at I'm not even on my account. I have it somewhere. As I scroll through all my true statement, by the way. Also true statement. Thank you. Let's see. It's a couple of days ago. Come on, guys.
Under the first, Rangers and Canucks tied at 2.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Another tangent. Did you hear that there's going to be a new basketball team in Schenectady?
Yes. The New York Phoenix.
Huh.
So, I've been saying this for hockey, especially, for years. My dad and I have been making this argument. They need to put another hockey team in Albany because you have that team in Glens Falls. You can create so much buzz around both of those teams because of the proximity. And now you're going to have that with basketball, with the Phoenix coming in. And the amazing thing is that it's in Schenectady, because you have Albany and Schenectady. They're going to be calling it. Maybe they'll call it the State Street rivalry. I don't know. Route 5 rivalry.
Well, I think it's just too late for us to keep talking. I have been monitoring the stream for 3.5 hours, almost.
So I've been on with you. So I jumped on with you only a little past 1. So we've been, just you and I have been on here for over 2. So
yeah. I do want to find my intro before you got in. I don't know if you saw it. It was funny.
I didn't get a chance, but
let me see if I can get it real quick. I hope it got to hear it, but
we'll have to try and do this a little bit more often.
Let me see. Let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I. then you can see me try to hide. I don't know what happened there. It might have got. There we go. I try to light up. And then I bring out the jukebox thing because I'm cool.
That's pretty awesome.
I want to hear. Let me lower this down. I don't know how the microphone is.
But so it's just
Hey!
and gentlemen,
welcome to this week in
And then I go. I need to record that.
That's awesome. So we'll have
I
to
didn't
try
think
and
it would
jump
go out
on.
that well. Yeah, I think before the first game, but 3.5 hours. I would just like to say, even though one person is that's probably me anyways, who cares? I would like to say before I go, thank you, Bobby, for coming on and just talking for this long, I feel like it's always good whenever we talk, especially even if we go for all the tangents. And I'd also like to thank the Arena Football One for allowing me to stream the entire schedule release simulcast and then go through this. It's awesome. And I'm so thankful for the league to, at least this late, like I was talking to a guy about it who works for the league, and we got it done. So it's just awesome to have that happen.
That's amazing, and I'm just so excited to see how everything happens going forward. And yeah, we'll have to jump on. I'll talk to you this week. Maybe we can figure something out before the Firewolves game. If not, I'll definitely jump on with you to recap it and go over what we saw and get some more news from maybe the Firewolves, but also maybe from the AF1.
Yeah.
Before we get back on, because this is everything that we're seeing. Both, the NLL side and the AF1 side are just. This is becoming so much fun on a day-to-day basis, really.
Yeah.
See all the fun new nuances of both of these leagues. So I'm excited. In the building in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, do it. Buy your ticket somewhere. I don't know. So anyways,
I want to see you there.
Yeah, we do. This has been a 3.5 hour long stream, regardless of us waiting for 10 minutes for them to get on and then me doing all this, having fun. That's going to be it from here. Thank you, Bobby, again for coming on. This has pretty much been an episode of the Section 116 podcast. We're maybe back, everyone. That'll be it. We'll see you next time. Go Firewolves, go Firebirds. I'm excited about the AF1.
Albany.
Go Albany. Woo! Woo! Yeah.